Hello, welcome to the August 10th episode of the news 2021. Today we're doing government and security, but before we do that, we have sodas.
So we've been getting a lot of orange.
Yeah.
And it's going to be probably like 4 or 5 weeks before we catch up. I'm sorry. Hey crew, my name is Mark, and I live in Prescott, Arizona. I've been a fan for a while. I remember Wendell's gradual face reveal, blah, blah, blah. After an extended internet break, I'm happy to see Wendell still makes videos. Well, there's also some other people here, too, but that's not very nice. Monday afternoon is one of the high points of my week. Oh, that's
sad.
I am very sorry for you. When the news drops for patrons, the news crew has a good, I can't read that word, flair, insights, and humor. I looked around my smaller city and found this selection of approximately orange and low calorie. If you like the Zevia, they sell it in cases to customers. It's not cheap, but possibly not entirely unreasonable given the global circumstance. So take care of y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
I think we have access to Zevia, right?
We do.
Yeah.
So I put these in the fridge, and then we've also got these. Spindrift. Orange. One real orange and 2 slices of mango.
Wait. They said one real orange. They didn't say anything about the mangoes being real.
Mangoes aren't real.
They might not be. It's only 10 calories per can. This is not cold yet. And then Body Armor Light Orange Clementine. I do like clementine oranges.
It's light LYTE, which means nothing. It has no meaning.
But it looks really cool on the package.
And we also got some Gatorade G Zero powder, which I will try. I'll probably try these on the game stream, but for now.
Yeah, when they're cooled off a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone's gonna hear that.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
We did some tests with our editor this week, and hopefully the sound is better. You can tell us in the comments below how bad the sound is this week.
I'm gonna go with Fit Soda or Celsius for this episode.
Fit Soda has a picture of ice cream on it. I mean, that's
also the label. You guys can't feel it, but like it feels very like matte,
artisan,
which is weird. Yeah.
This is an artisan something.
I'm gonna be shocked if that tastes like ice cream. Is that supposed to be a dreamsicle?
Orange cream.
It looks kind of brown, don't you think?
It does, yeah. Maybe the thing was running out.
Well, I was gonna say the printer. Like, I bet that was a vivid orange when the person designed it, and then when they printed it on that weird matte paper, it turned out darker than what they expected.
The label on this one's crazy. It's like calories 0, fat 0, sodium 0, carbohydrate 0, proteins 1 gram, calcium 34 milligram, and potassium 44 milligrams.
And yet it's supposed to taste like ice cream.
This one is 10 calories, but 250% of my vitamin B12.
Well, that's good.
67% of my vitamin C, 13% of my riboflavin, 125% of my niacin, 118% of B6, 1,000% of biotin.
Can't get enough of that.
Isn't that what they used for like your nails and hair?
What do you think about that black can top? I think I don't know how I feel about that.
Definitely shows any little bit of dirtiness.
Also, it's too extreme. Is this supposed to be an extreme drink, I guess?
Essential energy, accelerates metabolism, and burns body fat.
I don't believe that.
Clinically proven dietary supplement.
Clinically proven.
Something tells me that clinical study might have been done by somebody involved with this company.
Oh, cracking open a cold one.
We're on an off month for the other one, right? For the advertising?
Yes.
Okay.
And that is very cream, a tiny little bit of orange.
What's it called?
Fit Soda, benefits with bubbles.
That's not a good name. So you think it does taste like ice cream?
It tastes.
It tastes.
It's not ice cream.
Most things taste.
But it does taste like it tastes like the cream in cream soda, more like less than ice cream, but more like cream.
What about the orange flavor?
It's muted, but it's barely there.
A hint of orange.
Yeah. You get the orange in the smell more than the taste.
What do they say? Isn't that like 50% of food is supposed to be the smell, right?
I guess that's true of everything. It's like you mostly get but like the citrus, the acidity. But this is very creamy. This is almost syrupy. It's so creamy.
So what's the letter grade and perfect venue for enjoyment?
This is probably a B. This would be a great after dinner drink. It's like I've had a nice meal.
It's dessert.
and I'm not overly full. I've got a little bit of a hankering for something sweet, but this would probably be a good choice.
And we should also mention, we should thank Sausage Toes.
Oh yeah,
because he is sent in the OG crush. I don't know where he is, but he has access to it now.
I have an actual orange crush.
I like that it's cold too. You made sure to throw that one in the fridge first.
That one is there just in case these are so awful that it's like I need to go over to the old standby.
I
It's
did
not bad.
confirm with Sausage Toes, it costs more to ship than it did to buy.
Well, thank you, Sausage Toes. That is enough of that. It's time for the news.
Thank you, Mark, for your box. We appreciate it.
And we'll have another one tomorrow. We have another letter that we're going to read tomorrow, so that's going to be exciting.
That's an exciting twist on the orange soda saga too.
He said smallish town, but he did manage to find two that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
And not only did we never see before, but none of the boxes.
I've never seen the mixes before either. I've seen the Gatorade mix, but I haven't seen the other mix. So.
Oh, what was the other one? I thought it was all Gatorade.
No, it was the Gatorade and something else. It's whatever's in the big box.
We've got so many to try.
We'll learn about it next week.
Yeah, it's fine.
There's so much to come. That's the great thing about it. And great things to come in the future is also the theme of this article, although depending on how you feel about this particular topic, you might not like it. No, I don't have my controller.
Oh, no.
Biden wants half of new electric cars sold in 2030 to be hybrid or all electric. Hybrid could be lithium ion, it could be battery, it could be hydrogen, just not necessarily fossil fuels.
Now, he did sign an executive order, but I got the impression that it wasn't set in stone they had to do this, right?
This looked to me like they were setting up to continue the electric vehicle subsidies, which would be great for Tesla. But I didn't really see anything truly substantive here.
Yeah,
But
this seems like just feel-good legislation because this is when he's out of office and like it's also a half measure, feels like, so.
Well, Chris said it'll be after his second term and Kamala's first term, sure, but we'll still all be happy with his work. Now, the other thing here is apparently Trump really clawed back so when you have a car company, you have like an average mile per gallon. So for every supercar that you build, you got to build something trashy on the other end to offset it. Trump lowered the mile per gallon requirement. Biden is pushing it back out. It's like 50. That's something for the average, I think. So,
Are we all going to end up with glorified weed eaters?
52 miles per gallon.
That's pretty substantial.
Yeah.
And that's for 2026. No, we're not gonna have. Well, I mean, electric weed eaters, sure, but nothing with a cylinder in it. So we'll see.
It's funny that gasoline is just like solar energy plus dinosaurs.
Yeah, there's a lot of like bacteria and other sorts of stuff.
A lot of stored energy there.
A lot of stuff going on in the dark.
Yeah.
Foul stuff going on in the dark, just like our government. And our government, I think we can all agree, they're coming up short with the cyber stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really failing.
They're coming up short in a lot of other threats that we face.
Now, if you were going to put together a dream team for cybersecurity, would any of these names be on it?
I don't think so.
I don't think I would put them on mine.
U.S. taps Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and others to help fight ransomware and cyber threats. The Joint Cyber Defense Collaborative follows high-profile cyber attacks on U.S. infrastructure. All of these companies, the result are going to be, if you want to be safe, you need to only compute in our cloud, and let's protect that by law.
Yeah. I was saying, well, who would you put on your dream team though? Is there anybody who's really, really good at that?
Yeah, it's all those famous security cribs.
Yeah.
You take cribs.
But like, I'm thinking like company-wise though.
No,
Are they
I
just
wouldn't
looking for,
take
like,
any
one consultant?
companies.
Yeah.
That would only poison it.
So you need just individuals. That
Think
probably
like
makes more sense.
security companies like Palantir, the not ironically named.
Exactly right. Or
All I see is Denethor's withering hands in flame.
what's Celebrite?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. So, and the other, I'm sure the other thing that's going to, because remember Apple's excuse for not letting you take your iPhone apart?
Yeah.
Security was one of the things.
Yeah.
So they're going to continue that nonsense.
Oh
with
man,
this.
we got so many Apple stories.
And maybe this is what prompted their reaching out, because this is not new information, but every time we redo this audit, the world is a much worse place. So you have to ask, why are we still not doing anything?
The State Department and 3 other U.S. security agencies earn a D for cybersecurity. 2 years after that cybersecurity report to which you are referring, auditors find little has changed.
Surprise.
There we go.
Homeland Security did drag it up to a B, but they were the only one.
They're the only one that spent money hand over fist in order to solve this problem. Everybody else, not so much.
And if you look at their budgets, where's that money going? So, it'd be nice if they could bump those scores up. But I bet their version of an A is still not even that great, right? Probably it's a lot of holes still in the A.
Yeah.
Although we don't have an A, so who knows? And one of the things that is coming in the big infrastructure deal, actually there's a lot of terrible, horrifying stuff in the infrastructure deal, but one of the things that you'd be horrified of is that they are doing, because it's like the roads and stuff, they're changing some laws about cars.
Proposed federal standard will require cars to prevent or limit operation by impaired drivers. A little notice provision in the infrastructure deal would mandate that new in-car technology to stop drunk driving before it starts. I can't wait for Friday the 13th, part 93, where, like, she's trying to get away and, he's coming, and then instead of fumbling with the keys, the car is like, are you sure you're not intoxicated?
Yeah. You take a curve a little bit too fast, and it's like, I don't know, I think you're drunk, and it just shuts you down.
Yeah, the horror movies have to write their way around both mobile phones and modern vehicles constantly. So.
Oh, my phone doesn't work here. How weird.
Because you can't drop the keys on a modern car.
The first sign of trouble, it's just you hit the panic button, and then there's 50 police drones.
OnStar.
Yeah.
OnStar just keeps listening to Jason's murders. They're disturbed by it.
Powerless to stop them.
So, that one's a little bit terrifying, but it's not even close to as terrifying as this one, which is in the same vein.
The infrastructure bill could enable the government to track drivers' travel data. The government would keep track of drivers' travel on a test program to charge per mile fees to raise revenue for the highway. Currently, this kind of thing is actually prohibited, but with things like OnStar, the government could collect that data directly, which they're not really allowed to do that right now. They do anyway a little bit, but they actually would.
So you're thinking like, oh, they're going to use the telemetry to do this, right? Well, yes, but that's not all. They're going to use a lot of info sources.
Yeah, the collection information about the miles that drivers travel from smartphone apps and other onboard device, automakers, insurance companies, gas stations, and other stuff.
Carfax? If Carfax knows when you change your oil, guess who else knows? These guys.
I had to drive on a toll road recently, and then I got the bill for it a week later, and there was a picture of my car, and it was like, we know you passed over this toll, yet you owe us $8. It was very strange.
Will you give them the double fingers out the window when you're
No.
Next time?
Well, I thought it was weird. I didn't even think about that they would send it to me later. I was like, it says this is a toll road, but there's no little toll booths. You just drove, and then they sent you a message later.
Yeah, they figured if you could just buy all the DMV data, why bother?
Yeah, I was kind of confused. I was like, how did they know? But well, I mean, it makes sense if they have my license plate number. But
welcome to the future. Now, we don't have a lot of them here, but they do red light cameras the exact same way.
Yeah.
And it's like Microsoft and Apple. It's impossible to ever talk to somebody about that unless you go to court.
Yeah, the website was garbage. Very bad UI to pay that.
I enjoy the pictures online where it's like somebody's car, which was on a tow truck, gets the speeding ticket, and it's like the license plate reader saw the license plate on the car being towed.
No human. I saw a great one where a guy, he had a trike, but not like a motorized trike, just a tricycle, a big one, an adult one, and this red light camera was at the bottom of a hill around a curve, and he managed to get his trike up to 45 or whatever to trigger it, and he was just doing it over and over. Well, it's been a big year for the IRS. Collecting taxes? No, they haven't been very good at that. You ever see the headlines about those big corporations? But there is one thing they're really good at stealing.
The IRS has seized $1.2 billion worth of cryptocurrency this fiscal year, and here's what happened to it. They auctioned it. There, I saved you the entire article. They just auctioned it off.
So they point out that much like getting pulled over with a bag full of cash, getting your house searched with crypto is going to lead to them taking it and auctioning it off. And they're actually quite proud of that.
Aren't a lot of people still waiting for their returns? I don't get returns anymore. but a friend of mine has been complaining about not getting her return. GG, IRS.
It might have been stolen.
This is where we alienate the entire audience. Kirsty, you're not supposed to say that. You're decent company.
Listen, I pay my taxes.
We pay a lot of taxes.
Yeah.
Well, I would feel better about those taxes if I thought that the monetary policy in this country was something other than just batshit insane. But it's not. It's crazy, and it's getting crazier.
Federal Governor Waller highly skeptical of the federal digital coin. Yeah, so this is a Bloomberg article, and I guess if you're completely clueless, there's some useful information in here. But it's basically, what are we doing trying to create a Fed coin? This seems like just an end run around what's happening in the market to try to control it.
And he was like, what does this replace? What are we gaining here? We already have cryptocurrency.
Are we just worried about China?
And the answer is you gain top-down control of every transaction that happens in the country, right? That's the bonus. We don't want that, but someone does.
Somewhere in like an alternate reality, it's like, oh, you haven't made your orange soda deposits today. We're going to just take that money away from you now, and then we'll send you the orange soda because you need to buy that.
We've set up your IRS donations for a subscribe and save.
Oh.
You get 5% off.
Is this going into my retirement account? No, you can never retire. Okay.
But you will get preferred shifts at the Amazon warehouse when you're 60.
Preferred shifts.
Yeah.
Oh, it's true because it's probably going to happen.
You get Christmas off.
Every other Christmas.
Oh.
Don't get crazy. And who is pushing this agenda to demonize the regular cryptos and get us on these Fed coins? Well, it's gentlemen like this.
The U.S. SEC Chair Gensler calls on Congress to help rein in the crypto Wild West. This is a Reuters article. There's a lot of good info on here about, hey, there's all this crypto, there's this money, there's stuff happening with money, we don't control it, I don't understand what's happening, blah, blah, blah. But because they're the SEC, this tells me a lot. He's not freaking out about the whole Robinhood thing, so they must have that under control.
He is trying to tighten up the laws, though, and of course they want that tracking thing. Well, they've got that.
Yeah.
If you transact on Coinbase person to person, you have to have the information for both people. And he's also pushing for more of like things have to be regulated by the SEC. Right now, crypto is not regulated by the SEC. He wants it to be.
Crypto is the easiest way to move $10,000 between people in a not untraceable kind of way. You might not realize it, but like if Ryan is going to send me 10 grand, that's actually reported automatically. Like all the banks involved, his bank, my bank, everybody's bank, you know, the guy down the street, the guy that makes the sandwiches for the bank, they all know about that transaction in the world that we live in today.
The sandwich guy is just like, I don't really know why I need to have this. And like,
It's
just
the law.
have it. Yeah.
Write it down.
So,
and the infrastructure bill actually has stuff about crypto in it. And if you take one glance at it, you'll realize it was written by people who have no understanding of what crypto is or how it works.
senators propose exclusion of miners and software developers in infrastructure bill's crypto broker definition. Basically, if you're a broker, you're handling things. But right now, it doesn't exempt software developers or miners or anybody that touches any kind of crypto. And it doesn't matter if it's Dogecoin and you're doing it for the memes or Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything like that.
We should point out that in every single one of these stories, Ron Wyden is in there like a white knight. I think he might be the hardest working tech-related lawmaker we have.
Yeah.
I don't know if he does anything else because he's always so busy with this. He's in every story about this.
It's like trying to understand what's happening with this and does it work and is it a thing?
And in terms of understanding, he's got to be toward the top, don't you think?
Yeah.
In terms of Congress, and light years ahead of most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them don't even understand that the Earth is spherical.
Now you're going to get a lot of comments.
The bar is low.
It's a flat earther.
And obviously, the federal government wants its own coin. China wants its own coin. Everybody wants their own coin. But how granular can that be before we just get overloaded with coins? Can a city have its own coin? Is that a good idea?
Miami launches MiamiCoin to make millions and fund the police. We covered this like a year ago, and there was some logistics issues. Well, they've worked that out. And
have they?
Yeah, and this is going to somehow eliminate homelessness, but they didn't really, like, it was...
Well, here's the
eliminate homelessness and increase police funding. It's like, are those two things related? Like,
they've given the plan, which is kind of like, the old 4chan green text thing where it's like the question marks on the third spot.
And then profit.
So we don't know what the third spot is, but profit is at the end. So their idea is they're going to sell it, and as it goes up in value, as the other cryptos have, they're going to hold a bunch of it and wait for it to appreciate.
What could go wrong?
Exactly. Technically, they are creating it from thin air, so they're not going to lose much, except their credibility.
Say, if every city did this, how annoying would it be when you move and it's like, I need to go get some hangers from Walmart, but I don't have any MiamiCoin yet.
If you have to transfer MiamiCoin into like Ethereum or Bitcoin, and then you have to transfer that into something for goods and services, that creates like 4 or 5 taxable events. Oh,
Are you jumping to a new drink already?
Yeah.
He's getting crazy. You didn't like that one?
You got to intro it, I guess.
The Celsius is pretty good.
Did you not finish the other one?
No, it's not. It's about half gone. It's pretty good, but it's
mostly cream.
It's
right?
it's like candy, and I'm in the mood to not have. I want my thirst quenched. This is more like a regular. This is more like a drink.
Is that carbonated?
This is more like liquid candy, or in terms of taste. Yes, it's carbonated. There's a lot that's carried on the aroma. The flavor is very, very light. This is just like 3 drops of orange juice in sparkling water.
Right, it's static water.
It says no aspartame.
The best beverage.
Is aspartame the most vilified of the sweeteners?
I believe so.
I think it can cause migraines, right? Or like that's what I've heard. I don't know if that's true. Don't quote that. Jim.
Carbonated filtered water, citric acid, natural flavor, sucralose, beta carotene, and color. So yeah, I was right.
Wow.
It basically is just carbonated water with 3 drops of orange juice. But that's actually pretty good.
And sucralose.
And sucralose. You make it a little sweeter. But I actually like that. I don't like the orange flavor to be like super overpowering. So this is a good choice. This is a great thirst quencher.
Oh, it's basically just water, right?
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. Letter grade and venue.
This is an A, and this is one that I could just, if I didn't feel guilty because it probably cost so much, this could be a regular drink. Like I could just pop one out of the fridge and be like, all right, yep.
Oh, it's probably not that expensive, right? If you buy it in bulk.
This would be great after some yard work.
Let us know what you paid for it. What was the guy's name?
Mark.
Engagement challenge.
That's rude to ask what your gift was paid. How much?
No, but
they
we're
paid
doing
for
science here, Krista. It's a data point.
This is definitely like a special occasion drink, and this is I desire something orange, and I've also just done a lot of manual labor drink.
Have you gotten any amount of orange saturation from all this? Are you like feeling a need for a new flavor?
Like
at
a
this
grape
point?
soda at this point.
No. Well, a true orange man.
I like I like black tea. I made myself tea a few times because I didn't want to tear into the orange stuff, and I was out of everything, and so I went to the trouble to make like proper black tea. Oh, it's so good.
You've also pointed out that you have the infuser, and my prediction for the infuser came to pass immediately, which is it's too much work.
It's a lot of work. I haven't given up on it.
Isn't it just throwing the leaves in the thing and then putting hot water in it?
No, this is the orange
infuser.
Oh, okay.
Which I think you said you had to stab the orange
It's
and
a lot
then
of work.
leave it for a long amount of time. And then everything has to be cleaned.
Yeah, I have to if I want to enjoy it the next day, past me has to go through the trouble of making it at the end of the day when I'm usually pretty exhausted and ready to go to sleep, and then putting it in the fridge.
It's tough to keep that in mind.
How hard is it to clean?
It's you hit a button and it basically explodes, so it's pretty easy to clean.
And then you just Windex all those parts.
Yeah.
Oh,
as
yeah.
much as possible.
Listen, I did that with a glass teapot. That's why they're making fun of me. I was trying to make it look nice for the shot.
It looked beautiful.
It looked great, yeah. And then I kind of gave it a slight Windex taste.
Tea
for a
stains
while.
everything. Your teeth, your insides, your poop. But it's good. It's good stuff.
It's good for you.
I guess I don't drink a lot of tea, but I never noticed that last one. Well, if you're in New York, you're going to have to get the jab if you want to socialize. And of course, they've brought technology into it.
NYC's key vaccination requirement for indoor dining can be met with an app. No.
Here we are.
No.
Well, I could have swore that just like a year ago, they said this would never happen.
How crazy would it be if, like, I would like to take the subway. Do you have your polio? What?
I mean, they do that for some stuff, like for international travel, but
They'll let you travel internationally. It's just really dumb.
The big difference I see between those two things, though, is the polio vaccine was super effective.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't spread polio once you got the polio vaccine, right?
There is that.
That's
yeah.
a big difference to me. We can't even see the headline here because this is paywall. This is also one hell of a long article.
Oh my
Lovely
God, this is
illustration
the
at
one.
top,
Yeah.
though.
But it does point out the horror that we live in, although these people seem like actual fugitives to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Minneapolis protests facial recognition something New York Times article. So this is a story about a couple who were involved in a protest in Minneapolis, and they may have started some fires. Ultimately, if I understand the article correctly, the FBI classified them as terrorists because of the arson, and the article says the FBI really wants to classify everybody as terrorists, and then in so doing, that opened up a whole lot of police enforcement options. They were picked up on surveillance and video recognition. Turns out Mexico uses some of that banned Chinese technology. They were detected in Mexico from one of the companies that we've mentioned before that has like the scary facial recognition stuff.
But you also have to point out that's banned in the U.S.
Yeah, it's banned in the U.S.
But the FBI was willing to use it.
Yes. No.
Wait, is that your phone?
Why is this happening?
Oh, I thought it was Ryan's phone.
It's right next to it. Okay. So, yes, and they also point out in this article the impossibility to avoid, because these guys knew what was up. I mean, I think they were guilty because they were running and they were doing everything they could.
There's also a pregnancy and citizenship aspect to this.
And they made a big deal about, it's like, oh, she was torn away from her child. She was a fugitive.
Well, the child wasn't born in America, and I think the article was saying that the child should have had American citizenship, but I don't think either one of them did. Did they?
Well,
But
it's the New York
America
Times.
allows... No,
Yeah.
America allows if you're born on American soil, even if your parents aren't.
No, but they were on the run. I don't think they were here.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, in
it,
which case, then no, they don't. The child doesn't have American citizenship.
it points out that even if you are doing everything you can to stay off the grid,
You're on the grid.
they picked them up. They never got them through that. Somebody dimed them out. Was it like $20,000 reward? That's what got them. A rat got them. But they just barely missed them at every step when they were getting them through the digital surveillance because these guys were constantly moving.
Is that just another data point in favor of masks then? If you're
They-
if you're on
no.
on the run.
They were wearing masks when they were rioting and burning, and it didn't help.
Oh,
They still got them.
wow. Well, that was quick because all the rioting stuff happened 6 months after we discovered Rona and everyone started masking.
This was the Minneapolis one, which was like March of
That wasn't March.
20, right?
No,
Or
March
was
of
it
20 was
April?
March of 20 was when we locked down, and then
Was it before that?
no, it was in the summertime, so it wasn't
Okay.
the spring. But it was a few months after. But that was quick adaptation time for
Yeah.
that technology to figure out how to deal with masking.
Well, that's the other thing they point out is like the technology was all already there. They were
Yeah.
just looking for an excuse.
It was a quick adaptation time.
That's an important lesson that we harp on is like if the technology's there, it's going to be abused.
And look, it was. Although, I mean, did they deserve it? They were burning things. I don't know.
But they weren't.
It's
I don't think they're terrorists.
It's a bit of a moral quandary. Does the word terrorist mean anything anymore?
Yeah,
It should.
we're
Oh, yeah.
the three of us, and probably everyone
Oh
in our
my
comments are probably all on a list
I'm
somewhere.
such a terrorist.
Engagement challenge.
I would absolutely be labeled a domestic terrorist.
I can't wait till whenever you get put in court for something stupid that they're gonna find this clip and they're gonna be like, "Here's a clip of the defendant saying I am a terrorist."
Well, he's playing a character.
Yeah, everything here is hyperbole, Christy. You know that. We've said that many times. Oh, the United Nations. The United Nations is also getting serious about cyber crimes and ransomware and stuff like that. And they're saying, hey, we got to draft some serious rules here. Does anybody have any ideas on some things that we could do? And perhaps an unexpected voice.
Okay, this is the article from the Register. The headline is Russia tells the UN that it wants a vast expansion of cybercrime offenses plus network backdoors and online censorship. And it said it with a straight face, too, in the subtext. Okay, the Pegasus thing. We're talking about the Pegasus malware and the Pandora's box that has been opened up with that, where journalists and anybody can have the malware on their stuff. That's what the UN was talking about here. And it's saying, criminals are using this. criminals are breaking into software. We have states organizations that are selling to private companies, and they're misusing this software, which in itself should be a criminal offense. And Russia's looking at this and saying, this is great. We want in on this. We want even more software like this.
So, for example, just, this is word salad, but imagine if this were a law, what a cop could do with something this broad.
The intentional creation, including adaptation, use, and distribution of malicious software intending for the unauthorized destruction, blocking, modification, copying, dissemination of digital information, or neutralization of its security features, except for lawful research.
YouTube DL?
Yeah.
Gone. Any kind of DVD ripping software? Out. Completely.
Anything to neutralize the Pegasus malware.
What about Signal and Telegram?
They wouldn't be allowed.
I think that violates it, right?
Yeah.
So, everybody was laughing at this, but is any government any less hypocritical if they throw this out there?
Most governments actually do want that, it seems, which is disturbing.
I'm pretty sure ours does. And what everybody wants is better CPUs, right? And it seems like maybe in this crazy timeline we're in, the future might be ARM. But wait.
The UK is considering blocking Nvidia takeover of ARM over security?
Or is that more just UK? Like, please don't go away.
Sorry.
So they're saying that, this is our chip maker, and if you take this, then you're going to have all this information, and we don't know if we like that.
All that information was already with SoftBank in Japan and probably half a dozen other places anyway. Don't worry about it.
It's a great point that it was already foreign owned, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is just Japan versus China. I mean, we do have better relations with Japan, but I don't know. And Nvidia wasn't some Chinese company was going to own a pretty decent chunk of it still, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really kind of spread around. I don't know. But the UK, they are kind of selling off all their chip stuff. And we've learned that you really want to bring that in country right now.
Yeah.
That's what all the big tech companies definitely trying to do that. This one has been walked back a little bit. Have you seen the updates?
I've seen a couple of them.
They have actually, they've deleted the article, or the quote at least, and they've kind of pulled back on it, but I have the feeling that they will still inch forward later, right?
Yes, that's how that play works.
There's some guy in the Communist Party who really hates video games.
Share a slide after China brands online games electronic drugs. Now, so they did backpedal a little bit, but I thought this had more to do with things happening in Hong Kong than anywhere else, because the culture in Hong Kong is a little bit more Western, shall we say? And they're like, we don't want that.
Yeah, I guess so. Now, it seems like the reason that they backed off of this is because the stock market, they would already, what did they do to Tencent? Like half its value?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Tencent's one of the big gaming companies. So as soon as they said this, it got battered again.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I think somebody was like, hey, we probably shouldn't crush the market right now.
There is something interesting I'm noticing with this, which is it seems like the party is stopping just short of saying, we don't want this for Chinese citizens, but if they do this to the rest of the world, we don't really care.
Well, it's just going to give them advantage, right?
Yeah, but they're trying to actually stop it from the rest of the world as well, which is sort of an interesting position. It seems like they're more interested in punitively harming the billionaires than actually letting the companies do whatever they want outside of China's borders.
Does Tencent wholly own PUBG Mobile everywhere?
If not wholly, it's a majority, I think.
So that is a global phenomenon still, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or has that been replaced by the new hotness?
Well,
I don't think it's as popular as it used to be, but people still play it.
Meituan, is that how you pronounce that? Meituan? I'm going to say Meituan. Meituan is another big tech company in China. They do bicycle ride sharing, and I think they do like an Uber style thing as well. But just a massive, massive Chinese tech company. So what do?
China's antitrust regulator has fined them $1 billion, which is not huge.
I don't know. That's pretty huge.
Yeah, that's pretty big. That might be the first time I've seen the B on a fine for any company.
And it's US dollars.
No, it was I think Tencent got $2.5 billion or 2.58.
I think these guys are Relatively, that's about the same percentage, though, right?
Yeah.
Because these guys are a little smaller.
The allegation was that they were behaving anti-competitively with other ride-sharing services.
And I think it was a lot of the same kind of stuff Uber got caught doing.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably were doing it. But this just, coming on the heels of last week, they are going after these big tech companies ruthlessly over there. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I know this is a bad thing. As good as it sounds, as wholesome as this might be, this is that that thing where we said if cops can search your stuff, they will.
Apple confirms it will begin scanning iCloud photos for child abuse images. The feature lands later this year, but already faces resistance from security and privacy experts. So basically, it's AI. AI is going to be looking at your pictures and figuring things out. It's more disturbing than that, though, because the law enforcement in most countries maintain a database of mathematical hashes of images, and so they're all compared against the known bad list, which is actually pretty cheap to do computationally. And then AI is also looking at the contents of those images and looking for other images that have similar contents in order to make that decision. It goes to a panel that's reviewed inside Apple before it's sent to law enforcement.
What a horrible panel to be a part of, too.
Well, that's what they're trying to avoid, is they're trying to avoid humans having to look at this. So the hash has to hit first. Then the AI has to look at it. I think 2 AIs look at it. And then only if it's all positives, then it goes to the humans.
What is bad about this is once the technology exists, there is very little to stop the RIAA from coming in and saying,
or the MPAA,
we want to know, does anybody have any bootleg copies of Star Trek? And if so, delete it.
Yeah. Or, hey, our new movie just came out. The Suicide Squad just came out. Here's the hash. Have you seen this on any of your phones? I know you have the technology.
It's really cheap to do computationally, too.
Although, God, I probably shouldn't give that tip. I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but it's real easy to change that hash. I mean, real easy.
Yeah.
Your Honor, the defendant said on video.
But I didn't give him the instructions.
See, it goes back to, how do you know what your computer is doing? Is it really your computer? If in the background it can be co-opted to look for things.
Also, remember that I think it was part of the Snowden leak. When they pulled, there was a function in one of those malwares where it was like deposit CP or something like that.
Yeah.
So they, the spooks use this kind of stuff to attack one another, and probably us. This one you can file under, the digital access. Everything in the world is going to digital access. And can I avoid it for the rest of my life? Probably not. Maybe. I'm going to try.
Colleges across the U.S. and Canada are adopting virtual student IDs. Apple has expanded support for the digital cards across the U.S. and Canada. I want to remake the movie Real Genius, but Laszlo has figured out how the apps work, and he's just a perpetual student going to school for free because he figured out how the apps work.
Yeah. I think people might start to notice. Like when you hit 30.
Well, that was the joke in Real Genius, is like people would see him every now and then, and it's like, who is that? And then he would just disappear into the steam tunnels or whatever.
I may have used my student ID a few times to get cheaper movie tickets shortly after college. I don't know if I can get away with that now.
What a monster.
That's going to be logged in a journal somewhere, and you'll be prosecuted for it 12 years after the fact.
Your Honor, the defendant.
Yeah. When the MPAA comes into real power, based on all this stuff that we've been talking about, they'll find you, track you down. Well, did we move to security? I can't tell. No. Oh, wait, maybe we did.
I think we did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, that's right. We have a massive security section this week. I forgot.
Yeah.
So, I would say, I think I actually give the statistics in here, but if something bad's going to happen to you through a web browser, it's usually going to be JavaScript.
Yeah.
Almost always. And if we didn't make JavaScript better, your life would be so much worse waiting for it because it's already awful with all the tracking stuff. But Microsoft is saying, hey, if you don't care about that, you can be safe.
Microsoft announces new super duper secure mode for Edge. What's super duper secure? They removed the just-in-time compiler from JavaScript. So JavaScript runs in an interpreted and very slow fashion. It always runs interpreted. It's just it pre-compiles things, but there are holes in that.
No one's going to use Edge. This isn't going to make people use Edge.
These websites that we're going to, these news websites, I mean, I've not tried it yet. We will try it. I guarantee you it will be a nightmare touching these sites without that.
I mean, we use one tab, and so like when we open, the 15 or so news stories that we want to talk about, the browser really struggles. And this is a nice machine. This is a 14-core something crazy. And it's got a lot of RAM, and it's like...
And just a sprinkle of ad blocking. Before we added the ad blocking, we couldn't do it.
Yeah. I mean, each tab basically has one whole core to itself, and that's not enough.
Yeah, we tried to not do the ad blocker for a while. We're like, well, it's kind of hypocritical because we run ads sometimes, but...
You just can't do it without it. It crashes because there's too many tracking scripts. And you know where else there's a lot of tracking going on? And apparently it's been happening long before we thought. That was Microsoft Exchange.
Microsoft Exchange used to hack Diplomats before the 2021 breach. So as we were digging into things, it turns out there were some other holes that have since been patched, but they allowed access to Diplomats. Oops. International incident.
That could get you in trouble. For sure. Now, if you are concerned about your ISP looking at your web traffic, and they are, absolutely they are, you might want to use a DNS, you might want to use encrypted DNS, but you have to be careful who you do business with.
Amazon and Google patched a major bug in their DNS-as-a-Service platform. So this is a really interesting bug. It turns out that a lot of things happen over DNS and a lot of information is leaked. The name of your computer, your login name, sometimes your company names the computer after the employee's name that they use. Sometimes it's what department you're working for. Sometimes there's other information in that stuff. Your computer's doing a lot of DNS related things to update and tell your corporation, hey, this is the name of the computer. This is the place where I logged in, blah, blah, blah. You can do a certain type of low effort DNS poisoning, and it doesn't actually poison the DNS, but it does give you a little bit of insight into the subdomain names that have been registered as a result of all of those computers being a part of your internal network. So researchers were basically able to just go to a DNS server and try to create like a fake update, and if it allowed the update to go through, then they knew that the name didn't exist inside the company, but if it responded in the negative, then they knew that the name existed in the company, so they could discover all kinds of internal machine names for the federal government and private corporations, things behind the firewall. And that was a really cool piece of intelligence gathering to be able to do that.
But it only works if you got these, like self-managed DNS. Well, but it's a service.
Yeah.
So it's not an appliance on your end. You're just paying Google or Amazon to take care of it.
They fixed it.
But who knows what they haven't fixed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Amazon, when they are not leaking your data, are gathering more data. Oh boy, do they love data, and they want it so bad, they might even give you a couple of bucks for it.
Amazon will pay you $10 in credit for your palm print biometrics. That doesn't...
It's a low number, isn't it?
That seems like a deal with the devil. It's like, I'll give you $1,000 for your immortal soul. And it's like, wait, you're confirming that I have an immortal soul? I don't understand.
And it's only worth $1,000?
I don't understand what...
Only worth $1,000 to Satan.
I feel like one of us knows more about what's happening with this transaction than the other one. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Isn't that always the case with Amazon? So this is their pop-up stores where you're going to go in and that's your payment. You pay with your palm. But they don't have it quite ready yet. They need more data for their data set. That's how you get it.
No, son.
Because the inside of your palm, no matter what race you are, is roughly the same, right? Could that be the equalizer for digital data? No more melanin wrecking it?
What if you have a cool tattoo on your palm? Wouldn't that hurt, though?
If we have a database like this, it needs to be filled with just thousands and thousands and thousands of fake palm prints.
How do you fake a palm print?
I don't know. But that should be part of it. So it's like when the information eventually does leak on the dark web, that, how you know which data is real and which one is fake is
You have to burn your palm.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
Well, speaking of eventual leaks, it seems like no company is immune to it. But sometimes we see a good reaction. Remember when we were talking about Estonia's reaction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Estonia's reaction was perfect. They were like, all right, we found it. We immediately told everybody. We did what we could. We let everybody know. Here's an example of what not to do.
Passwordstate customers complain of silence and secrecy after cyber attack. Supply chain attack sought to steal passwords directly from customer servers. So the password management thing in Passwordstate was probably compromised. The company won't talk about it. They won't say anything. But that would be a good place to steal passwords from, the central store.
Well, they did say one thing, which is you should change all your passwords. Not a good sign.
Not a good sign.
So be more like Estonia. Don't be like them.
It's like announcing, it's like, by the way, we're out of business now. You need to change all of your passwords.
Good luck. Good luck, everybody else.
And the other terrifying thing when it comes to cybersecurity, one of the things that keeps me up at night are these, like the SIM hijacking and the SMS stealing and stuff like that. Because there's nothing you can do about that. That is just an employee at a company behaving badly. You don't know about it. You can't control it. You can't do anything. And there's a lot of companies that could compromise you. Think about this one.
Leaked document says Google fired dozens of employees for data misuse. Some allegations potentially center around accessing Google user or employee data. It's like, hey, I'm interested in, Cindy from accounting. Let's look her up. It's like, oh, here's all of her stuff.
Yeah, let's read her emails from the last 2 years. They didn't give us any details on exactly what this was, but if we think back to there, we've had several stories about cops abusing this kind of thing. Remember the cop that only victimized Spanish-speaking women because he assumed they wouldn't know any better? And he would go and he would try to, I don't know if court them is the right word, maybe coerce.
Yes, coerce is right.
But, did horrible things and only was able to do that because he was stalking them through the police database.
How deeply horrifying.
Here's engagement challenge. Would you be more concerned about what the police know about you or what Google knows about you?
Oh, definitely Google.
Absolutely, yeah.
Google knows a lot more. They've really connected the dots together as well, so it's kind of like,
Pegasus was the big story last week, but we didn't actually have
Level 1 predictions confirmed.
Government confirmation. We knew, everybody kind of knew Pegasus was out there and it was real and everything, but they were like, well, no government has come forward and said that they confirmed anything.
Before you switch to the headline, also remember what they said, the NSO group, the executives, it's like, hey, if you're not a criminal, you don't have anything to fear.
Oh, well, we can only assume that this journalist was a hardened criminal, right?
Yes.
The Guardian reports that the Pegasus spyware has been found on journalists' phones, and French intelligence has confirmed that. So it wasn't a journalist, it was a bunch of journalists.
Now, the big question is, we know that Macron was a victim of this thing via Morocco. So were these journalists being investigated by France or someone else, another country?
North Korea.
What does North Korea have against France?
Doesn't matter.
Have you seen the pictures of Kim Jong's weight loss?
No.
He's getting, well, he's not skinny, but he's way smaller than he was.
He's probably getting back into basketball.
Well, some people assume he might be sick. And they're saying the sister might be worse.
I've heard that. I've heard the sister is way worse. I don't know how true that is, but she does look mean. She mean mugs the camera in every photo I've ever seen of her. Anyway.
I'm sure there's some Pegasus floating around in North Korea, right?
Yeah.
And some people are, one of the things that drives me the most crazy about the world I'm in right now is I'm looking at facts and I'm saying to myself, I don't know, this just ain't adding up. And I get lumped in with people that think that 5G are frying their brains. There's only two categories.
There's no nuance.
And I have to choose the one with the 5G people. And I think this is that kind of person.
Hackers shut down the booking system for, getting the jabs in Italy's Lazio region, according to this article from Reuters. So
it's probably
Lazio.
Lazio.
Yeah. Lazio.
Those Lazio Italians.
I reckon.
So yeah, they took down, and they had no backup plan here.
Oh.
They took down, you can't schedule one right now. I'm sure they fixed it at this point, but while this was happening.
Yeah, it's pretty informal here, though. I mean, you just,
You just do walk in, yeah.
You just call. It's like, hey, have you got, and they're like, yeah, just come on down.
Yeah, but is that our privilege as the richest country in the world? I know they're arguing right now that boosters shouldn't happen, not because it doesn't work, but because those should be going to
poorer countries that haven't gotten a higher vaccination rate.
Italy's not a poor country.
Probably also Florida.
We should make them a poorer country.
We just saw them off.
A while back, I don't remember exactly how long ago it was, but June, EA got hacked.
Yeah.
Or at least someone claimed EA got hacked. They gave us a little bit, I think they gave us like 1 gig, right?
Yeah.
Of evidence. And they're like, no, we have a lot more, and you will give us a huge amount of money. What was it, 28 million or something?
Something crazy, yeah.
It's just ridiculous. And EA was like, come on, we're not doing that. So
hackers have leaked the full EA data after the failed extortion attempt. 751 gigabytes, almost a terabyte of corporate information.
it includes the entire code for FIFA 21 and
what a devastating blow that is.
tools to support the company's server-side services. I imagine that has to do with the DLC transactions, right? Stuff, because don't they sell cards and stuff like that? And they also tried to get another buyer for this, but the whole thing, no one was willing to buy it. So,
well, the FIFA 21 source code will be interesting to see what their RNG is, like how likely it is to get a rare card or whatever.
that's true. Yeah.
That'll be interesting just to look at, just for morbid curiosity. Oh, you know who? We don't have a story for it, but you know who else got ransomware this week? Gigabyte. Their website's down right now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's not going to be good for the chip shortage, is it?
We'll probably have details about that next week. I'm sure the chat will ask about it as well.
Well, we've got this headline again. It's well, I don't know if we even had a Russian hack last week.
There was a hint about this. This is almost the same story as the 2021 exchange hack, but this was an offshoot of that because they were investigating the 2021 exchange hack and they found this, and then they were like, "Wait, this goes back a lot farther."
But remember that last hack that we had when they were like, "It's the Russians," and then it turned out no, it was the Chinese.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as far as we know.
Yeah. Justice Department says that Russians have hacked the federal prosecutors, so that they know the status of which case is going where, and that was due to weaknesses in the implementation of the Microsoft 365 exchange system, I guess.
Now, would you assume that this is not about affecting a specific case? This is just their chaos causing, right?
It probably, I don't know. If you have access to prosecutors, you have some idea of what's being investigated where. Because some of the criminal enterprise, think about like money laundering. If you pick up some rando in New York City for money laundering because, you know, they're buying old books on eBay for $30,000 and doing other things that don't actually make financial sense, it's probably money laundering. And so, you know, the local prosecutor's looking into that. But it's actually, you know, that's how you're funding a spy operation in New York City or something like that. They probably have an idea. It's like, do they think they're regular criminals or do they know that this is international?
Seems like that would put a spotlight on it.
Not if you get everything.
So if you were going, let's say it is chaos, though. I'm trying to think, what would you do with the prosecutor data to cause the most chaos?
Send those fake emails where it's like, be sure to transfer money into this bank account, but just change the emails very slightly and hope some of those end up in criminal cases, because then the criminal cases will have to be dismissed because the evidence was tainted.
I guess you're counting on
Pro agent of chaos tip.
You're also going to have to like drop a line to the public defender because they're never going to look at that.
Yeah.
Kill two birds with one stone. That's just horrifying.
Maybe the next rung down on the terror ladder after the phone attacks, where just internal employees are destroying your phone, is this. Which, how could you possibly vet all of these?
You couldn't. You couldn't do it.
They're talking about like trying to come up with a solution for this. What could it be?
Yeah, there's not an easy software downloaded 30,000 times from PyPy. That's the Python software repository. Have ransacked developers' machines. It depends on which one you downloaded, but it might be looking for cryptocurrency wallets. It might just be running a crypto miner in the background. Sometimes they're trying to steal SSH keys. The malware is kind of varied here. Some of it's typo squatting. Some of it is people just sneaking in stuff to the repository. It's like we imagine this great melting pot of genius where it's like you share this thing that you created with the world. There's a lot of really terrible people that are looking for holes in that, and it's like, look, I've got a library that'll help you do X that I've also added malware to.
Yeah, and in some cases, it's libraries that you may have used for years and they were fine, and something happens.
Sometimes this kind of malware is also aimed at getting access to your production workloads because they figure your production servers have some serious horsepower, and then they can mine cryptocurrency in your production servers. Dark times.
And good luck avoiding it.
Yeah.
Because when's the last time that you put together a project in Python where you didn't pull something down from that?
Yeah,
I don't think I ever have.
If you're going to do that, you need a really tenacious like security auditor that won't let anything go.
Yeah, but that doesn't always work either. Sometimes that works in the opposite direction. And our final security story is perhaps the most terrifying. We don't have a lot of details about it yet. This was late breaking, but it doesn't sound good.
1 million U.S. and global credit cards released on the dark web by a Russian-speaking group. Yeah, everybody, time for a new credit card.
Oh.
That's probably like, what, 1 in 50 people that have a credit card?
Well,
in the U.S.?
It's not just U.S. people. I don't know how many global people are mixed in there. That's the big question, right? But yeah, I'm sure there'll be a database you can run your stuff against and figure out if you're in there.
Joy.
Definitely log into your credit card accounts this weekend and look for charges that you don't recognize.
Woo! Well, that wraps it up for this episode of the news.
It's been a good one.
Celsius was a pretty solid A.
Today's winner. You know what we should start doing?
Oh, pit them head to head.
Yeah. We should do we don't have them all. All right. All of you that sent orange soda stuff, we're going to have to send the same thing again. And then we'll set up a bracket. And we'll do a final four.
Look, empty, half and half.
We could probably do that with what we've got remaining.
We could do a bracket for worst because I'm going to be disinclined to drink the worst ones, and that might be. It's like, all right, what's worse, this or this? And it's like, okay.
But that doesn't help anybody. Everyone wants to know what the best orange soda is.
Well,
that'll be a great way to make me not want orange soda anymore.
We could seed them so that we get good matchups based on what you already know.
Exciting times. This was a really long episode.
It was.
How far did we go?
It was a long security section.
57 minutes.
Good
Wow.
Lord. Thank you
Bonus.
for supporting us, patrons
Bonus time.
and float planers.
We did that just for the patrons and the float planners.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, people who buy stuff on the store or subscribe to us on Twitch.
Level 1 masks are back in the store because...
That's the world we live in now. Yeah.
Krista, say bye.
Bye. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Orange Soda Reviews with a little bit of tech news mixed in. Today's August 11th, and I immediately forgot the categories. It was
business and social media. Also, do you notice any difference between today's audio and yesterday's
we made
audio?
a few more refinements. Our editor came in and was like, let's change this a little bit. So
It's amazing.
We also got a wordy letter from our
Scott.
our new fan Scott.
Yeah, so this is another care package. This box was severely damaged.
Ooh.
And it was sorted into the fridge, so I don't 100% know, but it's good. I try to keep it separate, but although this package is not from Morgan, Winthrop Liquors, it was because of him I was able to send you this package. I was not able to find your mailing address anywhere. Morgan is just across the bay from me, so I called him at Winthrop, and he told me, I asked for the address from Patreon and Floatplane. So I joined Patreon and asked for the address. I know that you said that you've gotten more packages and have been shown so far. Hopefully everything I've sent will not turn out to be a duplicate. No, there was a fair variety here. Although after rewatching videos, I saw that there were some duplicates, but they were the ones you said you liked, so it's not all bad. That's really good. There's a lot more other stuff. You may wonder why I sent regular cream soda and not orange cream. Zevia makes several flavors, but orange cream isn't one of them. So I bought orange and cream thinking that it might be possible to mix the two
Oh, wow.
and have an orange cream soda. I'm going to try that. Not today, but I am going to try that.
Oh, do you have more than one?
Yes, there's the orange can and the brown can.
Let's hope
No, but I mean, don't you need them both?
Yeah. I'm just going to try this one by
Let's
itself
hope-
today.
So,
The
but then you
editors
have
and other
another
employees
one to
don't take
mix,
that.
is what I'm saying. Oh, okay, all right.
Although some of those cans were... I didn't get as many as you intended to send, but I got enough.
There's been a lot of damage to these packages.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. The shipping companies do not care anymore. Just in the regular packages that we get, it's like they've been through a war zone. They're just,
Mangled.
it's like, is there blood on the outside of this package? Did somebody take a bullet for this? I've never tried it myself, so I hope it's good. Well, thank you very much
Scott.
Scott.
He has beautiful handwriting.
He didn't
by
give us
way.
the name of his liquor store.
I think he said he's across the bay. Is that?
Is that the San Francisco Bay? Wait, where do they
No,
live?
Winthrop.
They're not.
Winthrop's Florida.
Florida. Okay. Well, there could be a bay in Florida as well, though, right?
Biscayne Bay.
Yeah, beautiful handwriting.
Tampa. You think it's Tampa? Yeah, from Tampa, right? It's Tampa Bay.
Wow,
Here's
just
their
way
address.
to dox them.
Here's their address.
This smells like a Sprite. It
Now,
smells exactly like a Sprite.
We can get Zevia here. I've seen that in the store.
It's Sprite with 3 drops of orange juice.
It's sweetened with stevia, though, right? I imagine that's the name.
Calorie 0, fat 0, sodium 0, carbs 0, protein 0. Carbonated water, citric acid, 3 drops of orange juice. Natural flavors, stevia leaf extract.
I find
So
that
it's
has
sweetens it.
a brutal aftertaste. What do you think?
It doesn't. I don't. This has a much less brutal aftertaste than almost all of the other stuff.
Wow.
This has a less brutal aftertaste even than the Orange Crush. The Orange Crush has an aftertaste that in the back of your brain, it's like have more to offset the aftertaste.
It's probably the caffeine, right?
No, there's caffeine free. It's caffeine
Are
free,
there?
sugar free. Yeah, that was one of the reasons I got into Diet Orange Crush is I was trying to wean myself
Off caffeine.
off of the ridiculous amount of caffeine that I require for just normal operation.
All right. So letter grade and venue.
This is an A. This could very easily be a substitute for my Diet Orange Crush because it's not overly orangey, it's not syrupy, it's very water. It's a little too carbonated. But
No
if I
such
just
thing.
but if I just open it and let it sit for probably 10 minutes, it'll probably be at the perfect carbonation level.
I think that might be healthier for you than Diet Orange Crush.
Yeah, it sounds like it because it's just carbonated water
It's
and
spicy
citric
water.
acid. Yeah, I mean, and Orange Crush. There's an aspect of Diet Orange Crush that really does taste like they had a lot of industrial waste that happened to be safe for human consumption, and they were like, "What do we do with all this?"
Yeah, this has aspartame in it,
Yeah.
so it's got that
Probably
sweetener.
Zevia's probably gonna be more expensive though, right? Because it's over in like the fancy soda section.
It's delightful. This might be an A plus.
Wow, you
Now-
heard it here first.
Now our next one, are you going to do that other one this episode? Because I see the calorie count on that one. That is not a diet soda.
No, 170 calories for this bottle. This is ski. We'll save that. I don't know. We'll see. I got to get through this one first. This one must be enjoyed. Must be conserved.
Savored.
Savored.
Is
Yeah.
the word you're looking for. Well, let's savor some hardware news quickly. If you are one of the people who is suffering from the inability to get a new graphic card, maybe you just want to slum it with an APU for a while.
AMD Ryzen 5000G series reviews. N3 APUs deliver big value. I said that, not just me. Also, Hot Hardware. They did a really good job on their review. So yay. So Ryzen 7, 8 cores in an APU. That's kind of a big deal. And those are Zen 3 cores, so you get that 19% IPC uplift. There's also a 6 core. They play games reasonably well. You can play 1080p at like medium low. But when you do eventually add your GPU, you don't really suffer. See, the first APUs, the older APUs, those were 4 cores. And so like, is a 4-core CPU going to push a 3070 or a 3080 or a 6800? Not great, but these do. There's a lot of computational horsepower here, so it's nice.
And if you are one of the people who has thrown your $5 into the pile to get your Game Boy, you might be happy to hear about this because I think that little piece of hardware is going to move the industry a little bit in a place that it desperately, desperately needs to be moved.
AMD and Valve are working closely together on a new Linux CPU performance scaling design. So the idea here is they're looking at these APUs. We got graphics and you got CPU. How do you balance which one gets the power? Because if you give the GPU all the power, then you may be CPU starved and the GPU is not as busy as it could be. And if you give the CPU all the power, the GPU may need more horsepower in order to perform optimally. So you got to figure out which one gets how much power, and you don't want to max either one of them out to have the best gaming experience. And that's going to change depending on what game that you play.
You also need to not run your battery out on a handheld in an hour.
Yeah.
So
Do you really need to play Monster Train at 300 frames per second? Probably not.
You do. It's
Or you-
important.
if you're hardcore, you turn off the animations altogether.
I'm not even that hardcore as many hours as I have into that. It's because I really delight in watching the bosses suffer.
It is, and they make great noises when you hit them.
I like all the little imps with their little tummies. It's fun to watch them fly around.
So that's good news, especially if you're not able to find or afford those crazy graphics cards that we can't get right now. And the big story when it comes to chip fabrication is getting away from needing anybody else. You want to be completely self-sufficient with your chips is what we're learning, and more companies are saying we are done with working with other people.
Google will abandon Qualcomm and build its own smartphone processors this year. Now, this article is talking about Google wanting to go all in on tensor and tensor cores and AI and figuring everything out. But I think this is a more interesting, more subtle story here, because look at the Surface X, Microsoft and Qualcomm. Look at other phones, other people and Qualcomm. Look at the Google Pixel phones, Qualcomm and Google. And Apple has consistently been able to pull out a better ARM mobile experience here. WTF is going on? Because Qualcomm has had the first mover advantage. And so some of this, I think, is Google sort of losing confidence in Qualcomm, saying there is no way that Apple shouldn't have been able to do this. They're basically dysfunctional when it comes to an engineering standpoint. Why were they able to do this?
Too much time at the top. You get complacent. Although I wouldn't say that Google or Apple are necessarily hungry upstarts.
But they can devour the hungry upstarts that have the good designs.
That's a good point, yeah. They can consume a ton of hungry upstarts. Well, now, if you're a Mac user, your video card search is going to be a little different, and you're going to spend just a slight bit more money.
Only a slight bit more money in this market. Mac Pro gets a graphics update. The W6800X and two W6800X GPUs, the W6900X. So these are new AMD GPUs for Mac. They're $5,000 to $6,000, so only a little bit more expensive than a 3090.
But that's only if you want to run them in parallel. Although the W6800X, two of those will run you that's the W6900X will run you $6,000.
Woo.
Well, if you just paid $50,000 for a Mac, I mean, is it really,
It's chump change, really.
Or you could build a whole PC, a nice PC with a really good monitor, maybe a gaming chair.
You could build a whole
desk.
Not just any gaming chair. You could get that reclining one that like throws you back in a pod, and you've got the monitors right in front of you. I still want to get one of those at some point.
And you could get a VR helmet.
Yeah, VR helmet.
Yeah, you could get quite a package.
Which, as we'll see later, is the only way to get technical support from Facebook.
So yeah, good luck with buying those. Amazon, a couple weeks ago, they got busted, although I got to say they're not alone. All big stores do this.
Yes.
But they happen to get busted destroying quite a bit of products. When they don't sell things, they don't want them getting back out of the market. So what do? Burn and or slash them. The PR was really bad.
Amazon to cut waste following backlash over the destruction of unused products. The move comes less than 2 months after British broadcaster ITV reported that Amazon was destroying millions of items of unsold stock in one of its 24 UK warehouses every year. This is a really interesting consequence of late-stage capitalism because, what do you do to keep the prices from falling? You make sure that there are fewer products in the market. It seems weird, but it's this one weird trick that billionaires have.
I don't know that this is necessarily late-stage capitalism. We've been doing this since the 80s.
I was going to say, Walmart used to do this too. Like, they would slash up clothes so people wouldn't take them from the dumpster.
Because people abused it.
Well, yeah, in those cases, it was a kind of product abuse, but it still seems really just completely insane because...
Completely wasteful is what it is.
I mean, if you're producing products for like $1 and you sell them for like $50, then I could see that it really does cost less to just destroy the products than to let those products enter the secondary market.
I got a product from Amazon the other day with Prime shipping for 79 cents.
You know what else that we got from Amazon Prime that was not great? A replacement microphone cable.
Ooh.
But I love the idea of forcing them to pay more than they could possibly make on this item to ship it to me. That delights me for some reason. Also, they the thing that they're doing, the specific things they're doing here to combat the waste, is there's going to be a program where they cycle these back in as used products for some sellers. And there's the liquidation program, which I think is going to be kind of like where you just buy a pallet of junk rather than destroy them.
There's a lot of YouTube channels that do that, where it's like, I bought $5,000 worth of stuff from Amazon, and it's like,
why?
Really nice stuff.
I imagine they're going to start getting nicer, right? And I got to say, though, Amazon's delivery continues to fall, don't you think?
Yes.
They're really dropping the ball. Some stuff, it's taken weeks to get to me.
Or the stuff that makes it, is covered in human waste and blood.
Or the packages are just smashed and leaking orange juice.
See, I'm kind of just thrilled to get anything where I live. So, like, every time the delivery man actually makes it, I'm like, woohoo!
They actually came to the house.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I do think that is a top-down problem. I don't blame the drivers, because it seems like the drivers are being pushed to their absolute limit.
Yeah.
Amazon delivery companies routinely tell drivers to bypass safety inspections. Now, I read this article, and initially I was getting the impression that it was like, after every stop, inspect your tires to make sure they're not flat. Okay, I could see that, you don't have to do that every time. But you look at this, and it's like, oh, no. They're like, even the basic stuff that you do when you leave in the morning, like look around the car and see if it's leaking oil, or is there any, fluid on the ground. Like, they're just like, no, don't even bother doing that. Don't do anything.
I bet the big truck drivers will dispute you on, like, you're supposed to do that stuff every single time. Because, like, you could kill a bunch of people.
Well, they're just driving a van.
bunch of people.
And if you can't tell the tire is flat from the way it drives, you've got problems.
All right, let's go out. You go to the bottom of the hill. I'll hop in a van. And you see how confident you are when I'm coming at you. I'll go 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, that would be bad.
That's like the people that are like, 9 millimeters, not an effective round. Walk to the end of the range. And let's see how confident you are about that. We've had a smattering of companies that have set dates for when to go back to the office. Almost all of them have now retracted that and changed because we got the big D+ coming.
Amazon delays office return to January 2022 as the rise of the variant that you were talking about that thwarts corporate plans. I still have some corporate travel that has not as of yet been canceled, which is weird because probably should be.
They want that steak.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess everything's already paid for, right?
Yeah.
Not going to get refunds.
No.
So
Also, what a weird time to choose. January 20th. That's right after Christmas. They're going to have to push it back again.
All right, you get one more Christmas with your family, then it's back to the gulag.
Yeah.
But you're saying because all of a sudden people were together, right?
Right. And then they're like 2 weeks from now, they're going to be like, oh no, we brought everyone back to the office and everyone's sick. What happened? Who could have predicted this? Me. Level 1 predictions.
Do you recall, it was over a week that Google resisted, right?
Yes.
It was actually several weeks, wasn't it?
Oh, are you talking about the Apple thing?
Right.
6 weeks.
Wow, yeah. So when Apple did their big adpocalypse thing and block tracking, week after week we were doing the story, it's like, well, Google is not updating any of their apps. What are they doing? They seem to really hate the idea, which makes this weird.
Google Play gets mandatory app privacy labels in April 2022. After delaying its iOS privacy labels for months, Google copies the feature for Play.
And copy's the right word. It looks real similar.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and call it now and say it looks real similar, but with a splash of 50% more untruth.
You think they purposely nerf it a little bit?
Yeah, they definitely do, because Google knows where the money is.
Well, Amazon, they not big fans of unions. Not at all. Do you think the Walton family or Bezos hate them more?
I think Bezos probably hates them more.
I think probably, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Because I think in his mind, he's thinking, before I die, I'm going to hit the trillion.
Yeah.
And there's only one way to do it, and this ain't the way.
Amazon unlawfully confiscated union literature, the National Labor Relations Board has found. So people were trying to organize in some Amazon places, and they're saying,
There's a break room.
If you want to do that, that's fine, but not on our property.
No, they didn't quite say it like that. I think a security guard physically ripped them out of his hand and told him, you will never do this. Turns out there are laws about that. So, nothing is shaken out yet, but we assume that they'll be made to comply. I don't know.
Any day now.
They'll get pee breaks eventually. It'll happen.
And part of the power comes from the billions of dollars and the market share, but also part of the power comes from if you were to destroy Amazon, the knock-on effect would be staggering.
Amazon now employs almost 1 million people in the U.S., or 1 in every 169 workers.
God, when you break it down to just the workforce like that, it is.
Yeah, that's kind of...
So
It's not a
globally,
monopoly.
it's a little over. I think it's 1.3 million. But in the U.S., 950,000 Amazon employees, not counting the drivers. The drivers don't get counted here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's inevitable that Amazon takes over like small goods manufacturing, like all the IKEA pressed particle board furniture stuff that you see at Walmart, like all the really cheap stuff. It's inevitable that Amazon has to take over all
Would
of
they
that.
want to do that, though? Because, like, their whole thing is being the middleman.
If they're after shareholder growth, that's the only place to go. They can't get any bigger.
I think we'll get to the point of like Amazon basic drywall and spackle.
But they don't
Yeah.
manufacture any of that, though. Like,
But that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, it's just...
Why would they not start doing that?
Why would Amazon not start doing like the Sears style kit homes? Because, you know, your local contractors working from a kit home are going to produce a way better result than working from a traditional set of plans and blueprints.
See,
They can be high out of their mind and do a great job.
See, I would love to see kit homes make a comeback. I feel like Amazon's probably risk averse, and like if you start making things, you're also going to be liable for them, and they don't like being liable for anything.
It's just a corporate structure thing. They can fix that.
Yeah, that would be like Amazon Basics, where they're not making it.
Yeah, like the Amazon Basics
They'll
stuff.
put so many layers of little tiny corporations between them that they can say, "Oh, we didn't know."
Yeah, I'm sure that there's an Amazon Basics charger cable that burned somebody's house down somewhere that nobody ever heard about.
Well, it's the same way that they can give us this number and not count the drivers.
Yeah.
How can you not count the drivers?
We're not a monopoly. See, it's fine. We're just under a million.
Well, I thought that people would not love cloud, the whole computing experience in the cloud. Boy, was I wrong.
Microsoft pauses free Windows 365 cloud PC trials after quote-unquote significant demand. So you could get up to 8 cores and 512 gigs of storage for $138 a month, which seems a little steep there.
Oh, I thought it was only 20.
Well, the lowest end is just like 2 cores.
Oh, you're talking about the 512. Yeah. Okay.
So 2 CPUs and something else.
You get 8, and that's the one you were talking about. Oh, this is the crappy one.
Yeah.
64 gigs of storage is quite a limitation.
Yeah.
Does Windows count against that?
Yes, it does.
Oh, well. Not great. Although the word free does, when you stop giving away for free, that's going to fall off a lot.
Yeah. Well, this is only trial. It was like, just try it and see how it goes. And we're banking that you're going to forget to cancel your credit card.
So wait a minute. Who was the last one we talked about? Was it Google?
Mm-hmm.
Should have put this story right with that one. Microsoft has set a different timeline.
Microsoft will require proof of the jabs to enter buildings in the U.S. And it will be, the offices will open no earlier than October 4th. So they've got a much earlier timeline, but I think it was Amazon. A much earlier timeline than some of the other companies that we've mentioned before. But if you want to come back, you got to have the backs. It almost rhymes.
But who wants to come back is the problem. Who wants to sit in
No
an
one.
office breathing other people's air?
Well, they want to keep their jobs, I'm sure.
Are they forcing you to come back? Like, can you not remote? I guess you can't for every job, but
They only talked about the first date you can get back, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of places where it's like, well, you're not really part of the group. We can't really involve you. You're not at the conference room. Square is all about managing payments online. They've become quite the juggernaut from doing that. And like all the other big tech companies, that means you gobble up your competitors.
Square to buy now, pay later, giant Afterpay, a $29 billion deal. So this is sort of a different take on payment processing. They were looking at what credit cards were doing, Goldman Sachs, and saying, that's a racket. We don't have to have credit card processing fees. We can just become a payment processor and do it ourselves and make a lot of money.
I've been seeing Amazon's added that. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
It's like you can pay this or you can pay this every month for 6 months.
But Amazon doesn't have to run the credit card fee. Like they will make an insane amount of money because it's like 2.9% plus 25 cents per transaction plus whatever. Like that would be a good rate for your credit card processor. A lot of the times it's actually worse. Look at the PayPal fees. It's insane. And with Amazon doing that, they get to make all of that money. All of it.
Well, not all of it because you're going to get burned a couple of times, but you're going to have a wealth of data on people who don't pay their bills.
Yeah.
And you can do something with that.
I mean, Amazon
Could sell it.
has got 101 and 169 people in the workforce. And from that network of people, you know, how many, it was like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon separation. But if you've got a database on 1 in 169 workers in the U.S., how many degrees of separation do those workers have from the other people?
Now,
Chances are they're bringing you packages.
if you're Bezos, do you give that information for free to the credit check companies?
No.
Or do you make
no,
them pay
no.
for it?
You make them pay for it.
Not only do you not
Handsomely.
you don't even let them pay for the good stuff. You just take over. Like you automatically take over that market. Think about like your Amazon drivers bringing you. You know, it's like you live wherever, and it's like, oh look, this person has ordered stuff from Williams Sonoma. Yeah, they're automatically going to be allowed to do the afterpay thing because they probably have a lot of money.
They spent $50 on salt and pepper grinders.
Yeah,
They're rich. They're
I got-
bougie.
Amazon has data on literally every consumer in America.
I got news for you about the people that buy that garbage. They don't all have money.
But if Amazon is
Have
going
good
to make
taste.
some money off of those people, then
Well, they could sell the dead eventually, I guess. Well, the Blizzard scandal. The thing about the Blizzard scandal, I think a lot of these tech companies, they weather these scandals, and you're like, wow, they did a really good job weathering that. But the problem with the Blizzard one is it kept getting worse and worse.
Yeah, there's more stuff gets written. It's like, oh my gosh. And it didn't start mild either. It went
No.
from like 0 to 100, and then it just keeps getting worse.
Oh, no, it didn't start at 0.
the people
Yeah.
that come out of the woodwork on the Blizzard scandal is like, wow, this can't possibly get any worse. And then somebody in the back is like, actually?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my gosh.
Would you say that it was maybe the tip of the iceberg? That's their logo.
Blizzard president is stepping down amid frat boy culture scandal. Yeah, so this is, sort of rotten from the core. They're going to have a really hard time. I think.
They put 2 new people in charge, and one of them's a woman, and they're like, look, isn't that great? And it's like, shouldn't you be putting policies in place so this doesn't happen again, so people aren't playing night crawlers under the desks again?
They should release a game called Nightcrawlers.
That's essentially, it was an Always Sunny joke, but apparently that's what was happening there. No wonder the patches took so long. What the hell were you doing? Weird.
Is this going to affect the Overwatch 2 team?
I don't know. I haven't been playing Overwatch very much lately.
First, the Hong Kong cancellation, and now this. It serves them right.
Are you still working hard on Muck, Chris, or have you given up?
No, I kind of have given up on Muck. I tried, we'll take a moment to detour. I tried Back for Blood. I did the beta a little bit last night.
Oh, I didn't know that was out.
It's in beta state. It's fine. It just makes me want to play Left 4 Dead. It's not bad, but it's not great either.
But is that going to release full, or is that going to release into early access?
I'm not sure. They did the beta, and after you played the game for a bit and then you closed it, they had you do a questionnaire about it, and everything was just fine. That's pretty much what I answered on the survey. This was fine. I don't know if it's $60 fine.
$60?
Yeah, they're charging $60 for it.
That's
and I know
insulting.
there's going to be microtransactions in it too, because there's a card system. And I'm like, that's.
I was about to say, as much as I hate Left 4 Dead, I will suffer through it if we want to stream that, but I ain't paying $60.
Well, it's not that right now. It's free. That's why I played it.
Oh, somebody sent me the Monster Train DLC, but
Ooh.
I
Nice.
haven't. I got the thing where I have to paste the code in, and when I went to paste the code in, Steam was down.
Oh, probably because
That's
of
a
that beta.
pricey one. That's like $30, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, their DLCs are a little expensive. Well, Qualcomm, we've learned, is maybe losing some of the goodwill of the people that it makes chips for. And maybe it should focus more on keeping them happy and not making cars.
Qualcomm offers to acquire Veoneer. I don't know if I'm saying that right, for $37 per share in cash. Who is Veoneer? What did they do? It turns out they make mobile sensors for cars and data acquisition and do stuff around car data.
But if we think back about Mr. Biden's announcement.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Makes more sense, yeah.
Yeah. Might be a smart player.
They should make faster, better ARM chips. We should have an amazing ARM-based Surface laptop at this point.
Well, we're going to need one to capture all that data that's coming out of the car telemetry. Do you know how many sensors are in those cars? Oh, Firefox. I do not have a concrete reason I can point to that I don't like Firefox, but I don't like Firefox.
What's wrong with you? I love Firefox.
I don't know. Apparently, I'm not alone.
Firefox lost almost 50 million users. Here's why it's concerning. Yeah, it is. We need Firefox. You should take one for the team and use Firefox.
I like Firefox.
I do,
Engagement challenge. What do you or don't you like about Firefox?
I use it for my non-ad block browser at work. So I do my work in Firefox. Maybe that's why I like having the separation.
So I use Chrome as like my test browser if I need to test something with no add-ons.
I do Firefox as my test browser.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I actually run 3 Firefox profiles on my computer with different shortcuts. And I think they should make that easier because I've got the developer Firefox and then I've got the regular Firefox, which they did to try to make things faster. And I use the developer Firefox for kind of important things and the regular Firefox for other things. And because they even look different, it really is easy to manage them. And I find myself wishing that like Chromium or Chrome or Edge even had the different, like where I could just create a shortcut and be like, okay, now it's going to have a blue border and I'm going to do these kinds of things in it. And it'll have a different history and a different set of cookies.
You need that mental switch.
Yeah.
A different background. Well, they point out that it's their presumption of what's happening is Firefox, and I have noticed this about Firefox, too many updates, and the updates change things too radically too often. They don't seem to know.
The Google model.
Yeah, they don't seem to know where they're going with it a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And like the stuff they did with tabs. Remember when you had those beautiful tab managers and they just wrecked them all?
I had the vertical tab. I had like an amazing vertical tab, and it
with
could do
grouping and searching.
Oh my gosh, and there's never been anything as good since.
Yeah, and they tried to do their own searching thing, but
it was just bad.
It wasn't as good. And why did you break that?
Yeah,
you shoot yourself in the foot there. I can't believe I'm defending the plugin developers because they're usually monsters.
I'm ride or die for Firefox. Used to talk about Edge too. You're like, oh, I wish I could even do this in Edge. And it's like Edge, even if you just click on it by accident, it's like, are you sure you don't want to set your default browser to Edge, please?
You know what's crazy is that since Edge switched to the Chromium rendering engine on Linux, it's actually a shockingly good experience. It's not great, but it's a shockingly good experience on Linux.
I only use Edge, again, to test. Like if a client messages me and is like, hey, I'm looking at this in Edge, and I'm like, oh, crap, and then I have to look at it in there. But otherwise, I don't use it.
If I were getting up every day to go to work on Firefox and like I used Edge on Linux and it was, rendering pages and being more responsive in the UI, I would be a little sad on the inside.
Hilariously, we're using Firefox on Linux for this. Well, it has always been kind of a badge of honor if you knew enough trivial knowledge to do the New York Times crossword puzzle. That's kind of a...
Who makes those? It's not all done by computer now.
Well, the New York Times.
Well, yeah. But like, is there an individual who's like, what are good clues today?
Yes, there's a whole, there's software, obviously. But that whole practice of making crosswords, it's a very interesting thing that they do there. Anyway, New York Times is the most famous. It's kind of the yardstick, I guess, that you would measure other crossword puzzles against. And now you can't get it anymore.
The New York Times crossword puzzle is no longer going to work in third-party apps, which has crossed the puzzle solvers.
Some editor's very proud of that title.
So you have to have a subscription for these, I think. You might be able to download the PDFs.
No, you always had to have the subscription.
So if you have the subscription, you could download these in a file format. And they're basically saying, we don't really control the file format, so we're not going to do this anymore. Which doesn't really track.
They are trying. Now, you can get it in the print. If you're a subscriber, you can download a PDF to print yourself. They have an app. You can do it there, but you can no longer do it on the web app, and you can no longer get the .puz download. And I think the real hardcore crossword people we're bringing in like 20 .puzzes a day.
They're probably going to nope right out of the subscription, too. I hope that really affects their bottom line. They're like, why is everybody abandoning the subscription? It's like, we had no idea that so many people
There's so many enraged boomers about the .puz files.
If I'm another big paper right now, I'm looking to headhunt their crossword people.
If you are a large enough paper that you're worried about the particulars of the .puz file format, maybe send a pull request. You can probably get some stuff done.
The .puz. Well, that's what they don't like about it is that it's open. They want their own app. They want you to download the app, ultimately.
Yeah.
That's what this is about.
That's what they want. How about no? Does no work for you, New York Times?
Now, do you recall when Uber got in a lot of hot water for kind of how they were sort of hanging their drivers out to dry and stealing their tips and stuff like that? And they said, oh, we're going to be better. We're going to fire the CEO, and this is not going to happen again.
I remember that.
Not going to happen again.
I definitely remember that. Uber requires a non-disclosure agreement. What? Before helping a carjacked driver. So this is a driver who was carjacked, who had insurance, but he had a $1,000 deductible. So the insurance paid for everything, tens of thousands of dollars in damages, but he would like to get his deductible back. And Uber said, all right, well, if you sign a non-disclosure agreement, we'll give you the $1,000.
So not only did he have to agree not to sue them, but he had to agree to never talk about this little event that happened because we don't want people thinking about the fact that you might get carjacked in your safe Uber. Only safe thoughts in the Uber.
Happy thoughts.
You remember where that was? They have a huge carjacking wave happening there.
I had the impression it was Florida, but I wouldn't swear to that.
That does feel, it's Florida energy.
I can't remember. Wherever this guy was, they talked about it's a massive carjackings going on there.
I'm trying to look at it. I can't see this far back.
We know that, Krista. Come on. And this story, I have to admit, I don't think I managed to find a non-paywall version of this. Did you?
No.
And I can't pick who might be in the right here. It's really confusing.
The Bloomberg headline is a tale of fake Hewlett-Packard gear, and it spurs an arrest in China and a lawsuit. So Hewlett-Packard does business in China, and they do enough business in China that they were able to kind of sort of take care of this. You know, like copies and fakes, that's kind of been a thing in China since time immemorial. But this is networking gear made to look like Hewlett-Packard networking gear. It comes with Hewlett-Packard firmware, but it's not actually from Hewlett-Packard.
We know for a fact it's fake. That's not in question. This happened in 2011. But the argument here is Hewlett-Packard says these Chinese nationals were advertising themselves as Hewlett-Packard and selling fake Hewlett-Packard software to the Chinese. These guys who've been accused said Hewlett-Packard was selling fake Hewlett-Packard in China.
Why? What's the benefit of them doing that, though?
I guess free money from the Chinese? I don't know.
I mean, it's been probably more than 10 years ago, but I was doing some work for somebody that had imported some fake stuff that was Cisco from China. That was a really popular thing to do because it was pretty easy to just clone their circuit boards, and so just any random person could make Cisco, and then you load Cisco firmware on it, and ta-da, done. They added a bunch of stuff to deal with that, but like the early 2000s, that was pretty in vogue.
Now, they do have a bit of a theory here that companies like Hewlett-Packard have long hated the fact that they can't go after this kind of thing in China. And this might be a step toward getting that.
Yeah. Well, Hewlett-Packard, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what kind of deals they've done.
It's probably unlikely they're going to get a fair trial in China, though, right?
Somewhere I've still got a fake Cisco IPTV chassis, which I converted to run Myth TV because I found that really funny.
Well, the crypto world has actually seen a little bit of a boost this week. Those numbers finally started going back up, and this had a lot to do with it, I think.
Explainer, major Ethereum upgrades set out to alter supply, fix transaction fees in this Reuters article. What they really should have gone is, the headline that they should have gone with was Ethereum change destroying millions of dollars worth of Ethereum, because that's kind of happening right now.
So I saw a headline this morning, they just hit the 1 million mark already. So what's happening is the gas fee that you used to pay to other people for doing the transactions, some of that is just going to be tossed into the void to remove, supply from the world. And they think that's going to jack up the price. This is also a move toward Ethereum 2, which is proof of stake.
Joy.
I staked my Ethereum. So far I've made $15.
It's true. Quit your day job. Oh,
That was my
drop
phone.
your phone.
A bird flew into the window a while ago.
Is that what
Did
that
it?
was? I was
Yeah.
wondering about that. Sounded like that phone might have landed on a corner.
It looks like it's gotten dark as well. Is it getting ready to storm? You guys may hear some thunder as well.
It's one of those days where they give it a 15% chance and it always rains.
Yeah. Oh, your basement.
Yeah, not looking forward to that.
So Zoom, if you'll recall, when the pandemic started, everybody started using Zoom, and they kind of made up the security as they went.
Yeah.
They didn't really do much for it. They got called out on it, and there was a lawsuit.
Zoom will pay $85 million to settle lawsuit over privacy and Zoom bombing. You could also receive a payout, but don't expect much. So if it was me though, if I were the executive, I would have just said, look, the technology grew so fast, we really could have done some things better in terms of security, but that's just how it is on the internet. Screw off.
Well,
He may have said that and then got hit with this fine anyway.
they support Section 230 with protecting them, which is going to be fodder for the Republicans, right?
Yeah.
They're going to use this as an example. If you were a registered user, a subscription payer at that time, you can get 15% of your subscriptions that you paid, or $25, whichever is lower. So, at most $25. If you were not paying for a subscription during the time, you can get as much as $15.
Wow.
Again,
Quit your day job.
with the Section 230 protections here, it was unfortunate. They could have done a lot of things better, but I mean,
under our laws, should it cost you $85 million to just be crappy?
no.
I don't think so either. You're allowed to be crappy.
Yes.
How do you ever not be? To get good, you got to be crappy first.
There's a lot of pundits, I think, that think that some of the laws are structured to make it so that the incumbents are basically around forever. It's like Twitter and
pay to
Google and
play.
Facebook are, once they're established, they're just established. And this would seem to be a vote in favor of that. It's like, Zoom was the predominant thing. We can find them and do other stuff. It's like, look, if they're crappy, use a different service. And we certainly had the option to do that because video conferencing services exploded in a way that they never had before because of the global situation. So this is a fine for being crappy, but I guess they're happy to pay it because it now cements them in as...
Remember when we were talking about their profit margins during all that? Yeah, wow. We learned a little bit about security and we made hundreds of billions of dollars. Yeah, we'll give you some back.
Yeah, I would be more supportive of fining them for, usury, for making, exploiting the situation to make more money than they would have.
Yeah.
But
although they did give it away for free, it'd be hard for you to talk them down from that.
Yeah, I don't know. Just doesn't. I don't
Didn't
know.
they lie initially about it? Maybe that's what you go after them for.
Well, they got busted, because they talked about the encryption.
Yeah, it's like we got encryption. See, but that could have just been idiocy. Like the executives didn't know. And
But how long do we let that be an excuse?
Yeah.
Well, if you're thinking, all right, I'm going to get my $25 from Zoom, I don't know how I'm going to spend all that. I mean, my pockets are so flush right now. We'll get ready for even more stacks of paper.
Google Plus class action lawsuit starts paying out $2.15 for Google Plus privacy violations. Remember, Google Plus, it's not even a thing anymore. It's gone, basically.
So, 52 million users they leak the data of, and in response, they have to pay $2.15 per user.
That reminds me. Krista, I found some cameras in the women's restroom. There you go. Or good.
What?
Is that a Blizzard policy?
Oh, just handed me $50.
I don't know where they came from. I don't know, but we're good, right? $2.15.
Take that money and don't ever go to KristaUpskirt.com.
Oh. Someone's going to look that up, and that's going to be real.
Someone might register that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, that's just Google's. It's like,
Take some pennies, peasant.
yeah, I mean, it's like, there you go.
But literal pennies.
Yeah.
They could have given us so much more.
Listen, they got to save their money for the Euro fines.
The irony is that if they had only done that to one or two people, the punishment would have been much more severe. But because it was such a grand scale, it's somehow not as bad.
It's like murder. So I remember, I'm pretty sure this happened right after the, what was the API company they got busted for?
Cambridge Analytica?
Yeah. Didn't right after Cambridge Analytica, didn't they get busted for something like this?
Yes.
Yeah. So they learned a lot from that, didn't they?
Yeah. Facebook cuts off new NYU researcher from access, prompting rebuke from lawmakers. So basically, these researchers, it was more than one, it was like 2 or 3, they were running research to say, hey, Facebook political ads are still letting you say things that are against the terms of service, and also sowing a lot of dissent and misinformation and crap like that. And so Google or Facebook was, rather than shut the ads down, they just shut the researchers down.
But the thing that really pissed them off is they have this app. I can't remember what the name of it was, but you can run this. Or no, it's a browser plugin. If you run this browser plugin, you will anonymously send ad data back to these guys.
That's how they knew.
Which they can compare to Facebook's ad data, and it wasn't. The numbers weren't washing out.
Wasn't 1-to-1.
Yeah, so they were onto something here.
It was almost like what would you call it, honeypotting or something? So Facebook says that they minimize that, or they don't do anything with the ads until a human reviews it, blah, blah, blah. But they were able to get enough analytics data from people actually on the site to show that the site doesn't actually behave the way that Facebook says it does.
And that's not actually considering their preferences that they set in their settings in terms of ads. So these guys had access to the, what was the Tangle thing that they've got? Crowd Tangle, is that the name?
Yeah.
And they will lose that as well for their crimes. And here's a headline that, like, when I read it, I thought, how can that possibly be? And then after I read the story, I was like, yeah, that's not really what they're doing there, is it?
No.
This is a terrible idea.
Facebook researchers hope to bring two foes together: encryption and ads. It's not really. This is Facebook knowing what ads you need to be. This is Facebook doing Flock and then saying it's encrypted so they can't identify you, but there's still lots of personally identifiable information there.
What they're trying to do is the homomorphic encryption type thing, where they say, well, yeah, we'll look at what's inside there, but we won't really look at what's inside there. You
can do computation on encrypted data, in other words, without having to decrypt it. Therefore, it's safe. But that's not exactly how it works in practice with what you don't have to know what the data is if you can observe a couple of things about the data in order to infer things. Like, you don't have to know that Bob Smith is this data record. You can just look at, their house for 8 hours a day, and in the property records, that's Bob Smith.
Like the priest. Remember the priest?
Yeah.
The priest, nothing directly tied him to the homosexual encounter, but just from his data, no one else went to that address the same times he went to it, and as often. So, that's him.
He's the one.
Also, homomorphic is a great word to use on people who don't understand it, because they'll think it's something else.
I knew somebody that had that done.
Facebook, like Google and Amazon and every company in the world, it's the most frustrating thing in the universe, doesn't ever answer the phone. There is no way to call Facebook. They just don't do it. And when you have a problem with them, that can be a big issue.
Your Facebook account was hacked. Getting help may take weeks or $299, or get it back immediately, with this one weird trick. Basically, you buy an Oculus, and then you go on tech support. It's like, I can't use my Oculus because somebody stole my account. Oh, let me help you get that fixed. They fixed it immediately.
So this young
It's
lady
kind of a cool hack.
did exactly that. She spent, 6 weeks?
Yeah, trying to get it back before buying the Oculus. And they got it back the next day after buying the Oculus.
I say that's cool, but it's clever, I guess. I mean, it's stupid that she had to do that, but...
And the serial number that you need is on the outside of the box, so you can return it. Which will hurt them for doing this,
Yeah.
which is great.
GG.
Just check the return policy before you buy whatever it is. And the jab. It's all about the jab right now. I opened up my Google News and every story is telling me why I should get this thing that doesn't seem to function. But boy, do they want me to get it, and they can't figure out how to convince me, so they're doing some crazy stuff.
To fight vaccine lies, authorities recruit an influencer army.
And by influencer army, you mean young TikTokers.
Store.level1text.com.
Buy a mask from store.
So yeah, they're finding people who certainly don't have any credentials that would make you think that they have vaccine knowledge. And I don't think that they're really qualified to be telling me about this stuff, but here they are. Facebook.
I was gonna say, do you think that really works? But
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, I mean,
Yes,
we do
absolutely.
ads for Linode. Many of you have tried Linode now. Though to
Oh.
be fair, Linode is actually good. So.
yeah, but the Linode functions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. I'm going to go ahead and on record as saying this. Now, I haven't done the research, but I still feel confident that Linode has never caused heart inflammation.
Only when it's down.
Oh, Facebook. When did they? The Supreme Court, the Facebook Supreme Court was that 2019?
Oh.
Listen to that.
Here comes the rain.
Oh, I drove the Corvette today. Facebook promised us, whenever they did the Supreme Court, they were like, this is going to solve the problem. All this stuff where there's like bad stuff on there, this is going to take care of it. Just give us a little time. And that was a couple of years ago. They've had some time.
Study. Social media giants are failing to remove the most anti-Semitic posts. You know what? Those are really low down the priority list because nobody complains about anti-Semitic posts. The AI hasn't learned because guess what that data set is built on? People complaining.
I think they complain. They're almost famous for that. So it says it fails to remove the most anti-Semitic posts. Are they ranking them?
Apparently.
I didn't interpret it that way. It says fails to remove most, and not the most.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, that actually does make more sense.
I like to imagine, though, that there's like a listicle somewhere.
Yeah.
Top 10 most anti-Semitic posts.
Oh, my God. This one's a 9.3.
Yeah, this is not entirely surprising at all because
I mean, they struggle with everything, it seems like.
well, they struggle with everything, but this is also like that kind of content is so prevalent, and the AI that's trained on that, there's not a good data set to be like, this content is really super wrong because nobody has built that data set.
Also, when you treat it like this, when you make a big deal about it, you turn it into like it goes from being a grenade to a smart bomb. And the trolls know if I ever really want to push your buttons or get a reaction from you, all I have to do is go here.
Yeah.
So it perpetuates itself. I don't know. If you took all of the limitations off of it, I don't think it would stop it. But
No, yeah.
I don't think there's a good answer.
Yeah. This one we covered last week too.
Oh,
But
did
we?
we?
Can mention it again.
No, we're throwing it out.
It's gone. You'll
It's
never know what
already-
it is.
Well, this is a long one already. 49 minutes.
Good Lord.
Long episodes this week, chat. Are we done? We got anything
We're
else to say?
done.
All right, bye. See you next week or Friday, whatever. Hello, welcome to Level 1 News. We're back. It is August 13th. It is Friday the 13th. And we're here with another orange soda review.
I'm excited about Ski because I've been trying to find Ski at Kroger. It's never in stock.
This is a twist top too, unlike
Ooh.
that German swill.
Oh, and you got your thing out ready for it, and you didn't even need it.
Yeah, I really like the German orange. They really know how to make a proper orange soda.
They make a lot of them too.
Wow, this is totally reminiscent of L81.
Oh.
Of L8 or like the orange L8?
No, I haven't tried the orange L81. It's a little less syrupy than L81 and not as carbonated, but it's got the same sort of like citrusy kick
Winchester swamp water vibe.
with a little bit more orange.
Now is Ski known for being heavily caffeinated?
Is it?
Well, L8 is.
Well, it's 170 calories, 25 milligrams of sodium, 45 grams of sugar, including 45 grams of added sugar.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say because
Not counting the juice.
Yeah, one of those little slender cans you had was 35 grams of sugar, and I'm like, I don't know.
Contains carbonated water, cane sugar, lemon juice concentrate, orange juice concentrate, citric acid, natural flavor, sodium benzoate as a preservative, cellulose gum, yellow number 5. So yeah, you can definitely taste that lemon juice is the number 3 ingredient.
But real sugar.
Real
Yeah.
sugar.
Yeah.
Glass bottle. I think there's something different. It hits different when it comes out of a glass bottle.
It definitely does. When it's got a Best Buy, 6/16 of 2022. So that goes bad pretty quick too for a bottled soda.
Well, that's almost a year. All right, letter grade and venue.
This is not a thirst quencher.
Yeah, it's a lot of sugar.
Yeah, this is more like the after dinner snack. This would be great because it's so acidic. This would be really great after like a steak dinner.
Break down those proteins.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite venue description is still talking about like having an ice cream on your front porch in the evening, and it was very evocative.
Yeah, this is not anything. This one and the last one, the orange cream soda, are the kind of thing that you can have by itself, and it's really pretty satisfying.
Oh yeah, you left a lot of that one. You didn't love that one.
The best kind of orange cream soda makes you want ice cream though, but for that, summer evening ice cream front porch experience.
Well, let's talk about some robots. I don't know how to transition from that to robots.
Yeah, there's no transition. Let's go.
But artificial intelligence. Now, we all know, it's common knowledge, that they will be using 5G to ignite the vaccines in our blood. But the question is, how do you get maximum coverage for the maximum kill count there? We want mega deaths here. So, we use AI.
The Wall Street Journal reports that Verizon has enlisted AI in the 5G network build rollout. They want to build the least amount of towers and get the most coverage possible. And so AI. This is actually one of the things that AI has historically been pretty good at. So this is probably not a misuse of AI. Like usually we're reporting that people that don't understand AI sort of report that. There's a class of problems in computer science called the traveling salesperson problem, and placing your towers optimally kind of is this traveling salesperson problem. And AI can be pretty good at doing that.
So, look forward to your blood boiling from that. It's going to be exciting. You know what else was exciting? And I say was exciting? The thought of Amazon using drones to bring me my goods. Oh, I want it so bad.
It'd be very cool.
But I guess it's not going to happen.
The slow collapse of Amazon's drone delivery dream. Amazon has triggered, mass redundancies as it transfers and winds down a huge part of its UK drone delivery business. So this says that at one time they employed over 100 people. And most of those people have been spun off into other divisions or let go. So they're not planning to do this anytime soon.
One guy said he had 3 different managers in a month.
Wow.
And nobody was doing anything. They said one guy was just drinking at his desk all day. Because it was so poorly managed. Nobody knew what was going on. Nobody knew what anybody else was working on. Just sounds like madness.
Nice.
And when it comes to AI, it's not just good at salesmen and towers. It's also good at pre-crime. Wait, what? Thought this was science fiction.
The Pentagon believes its precognitive AI can predict events days in advance. So the headline here is a little disappointing because when you dig into it, it just really is like they've hooked all the satellites up and they don't have enough analysts. So like the work that was historically traditionally done by analysts, I guess they're overrun because there's so many sensors and so many satellites pointed every which way that the example that they used in the article was, hey, we're noticing a lot of people boarding ships in a port. They're probably going to move.
Or a submarine missing from the port.
Or, a submarine's missing from the port. It's like something's happening. Normally analysts would be doing that. This is being done by AI. So it's not exactly precognitive, but it's like when that sub shows up for the Cuban Missile Crisis, it's like, oh, we knew because it left port 3 days ago.
But isn't that the case every time we have a mass shooting or something like that? They're like, oh, yeah, we knew that guy.
Yeah.
We didn't do anything, but we knew that guy. He's crazy. So, But the other thing that they really did downplay in that article is the fire hose of information that you have to have coming in to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, so this is really just...
And you're going to get some false positives. You have that much crap coming into you.
A better version of that article, and, their consultants should know this, is we need to build tools to empower the competent analysts to be able to sift through that fire hose of data more effectively. Because a little bit of tooling to help your analysts is going to be way better than replacing them entirely.
I'm sure there's some government contractor who's probably building that system as we speak for a lot of money.
You say competent analysts.
Yeah.
What if they all work for the private sector?
Yeah, that's a problem. Because they're all wanting to make Palantir even more Palantir-y.
Oh, they also want to make money, which the government stingy with. They only like to spend money on themselves, and not. I don't mean they're low-level employees when I say that. I mean the lawmakers and their constituents, of course. Well, this headline, if you're a regular viewer of this, or if you just keep up with the tech news, you're probably saying to yourself, wait a minute, I remember this going the other direction. And yes, it did go the other direction in America and subsequently several other countries. This guy just kept going to new countries till he found a sucker in Australia.
Australian court rules that AI can be considered an inventor on patent filings. I can't wait for goldfish and cats and bonobo chimps to be considered inventors as well.
You could argue they have more cognitive power than some AIs, right?
Yeah.
Easily. Wouldn't we have to create like a minimum AI competency level to measure against?
Would your cats beat it, you think?
Oh,
Rue
God,
would not.
No, my cats are so stupid.
No, all the patent lawyers are correctly predicting that patent trolls will use this to just patent things that will be immediately obvious to anybody that's building things in that space.
It'll be like the what's the name of the Apple app that gets you out of speeding tickets and everything else in the world now?
The robot lawyer app. Yeah, that's a good one.
I can't remember the name of it. Do Not Pay. Do Not Pay will now just file patents for you. Yeah.
You're not supposed to be able to get a patent if it's obvious, but the patent examiners don't have a real significant depth of training in a lot of cases. And so it's like, they might be really smart and gifted and, have degrees, but the niche that you're getting a patent on now is so small that they don't know.
And the AI is not going to know either.
No.
Maybe eventually. Well, I definitely keep my ear to the ground when it comes to AI stories, because this is one of the sections that's usually pretty
entertaining,
shallow, and it's hard to get stories in here, which is why we've expanded the space even. But I do remember a slew of these stories at the beginning of the pandemic. This was a very popular topic for a while. Then we stopped hearing about it. Now we know why.
The MIT Technology Review has an article that hundreds of AI tools have been built to catch people with the thing and the thing in general, and none of them have helped. Some have been used in hospitals despite not being properly tested. But the pandemic could make medical AI better.
I mean, that kind of makes sense because your initial symptoms with this thing are pretty, benign. And then sometimes they'll worsen. But, you can't, if everyone has a fever,
I remember one in particular was, who should be on a ventilator. That was one of them.
Yeah.
There was one we did a few weeks ago where it was they were letting you into the mall based on, if you had a fever and some other random criteria.
Well, that was a robot at the door, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a little different, but also ineffective. I don't remember that one being all that good.
No, it wasn't, I don't think.
So, yeah. Turns out AI can't do everything. But it can do a lot if you install it into a robot dog. And when they started selling the dogs, everybody was like, what exactly are we going to use these for? And I believe we said terrible things. I think that's
Here
on
we
record.
are.
I believe that I called out cataloging the homeless. That was one of the joke random things where it's they'll just wander around and scan all the homeless people.
Did you get
here we are.
Did you match it as closely as iris scans?
No, I did not.
Oh, well, then you failed.
Robotic police dogs, useful hounds, or dehumanizing machines. So they've got Spot. They've outfitted Spot with an iPad or something and an iris scanner. And so it's going to go around and scan you. It's going to check you to see if you have a fever. It didn't say what happens,
Exterminate.
But it's only going to check certain people. You got to be specific about that.
Yeah, and it's going to catalog you if you're homeless.
Yeah, so if you're on the street, and I don't think it has to get that close to get your eyes either.
Mm-mm.
So you might not necessarily know why this robot dog is pointing at you for a little bit, but then when the goon squad comes to, hustle you out and lock you up somewhere, you'll know.
I can't wait for the RoboCop style, submit citizen, and then it scans your eyes.
How long before, the homeless recognize that the robot dog is a snitch and start knocking it out when they see it on the street?
Yeah, but it's got that camera.
Couldn't you destroy where it's riding to? I guess if it's riding externally.
I want you to think about payphones and payphone booths. Those were really popular in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. But something happened in cities, and they really, really had to armor payphones because people would like rip the payphone and just wanton vandalism. And so we built these amazing like super armored payphones, and that's the thing. But imagine doing that today. The amount of raw materials and metal and stuff like that in there. It would actually be cheaper to just log literally everything, to put a microprocessor in a modern payphone than to build a payphone that indestructible these days. So if it's cheaper to just surveil everything and arrest people after the fact, that seems like we're headed in a really scary direction.
Yeah, but what about that Minneapolis story?
Yeah. I mean, that's basically, it's going to be that for everybody. It's like,
That's too far. That's too much of a sacrifice to make.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy, though? And I think about this constantly when I watch those YouTube videos about Japanese vending machines. Those Japanese vending machines, some of them are from like the 80s, and they're still running, and they're totally vulnerable, but nobody messes with them. They don't have that vandalism problem. It's cultural.
Yeah.
What is it about us?
Something has gone very wrong.
We nuked them, and somehow they weren't affected by it. How did this happen to us? Maybe we need to get nuked. Netflix is making a documentary, and so far I haven't seen any backlash to this, but considering the Blue Origin launch and how people really turned on that, don't you think this will?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think people are going to be angry about this.
Netflix announces SpaceX documentary on civilian mission into orbit. I'm surprised that Netflix is not doing a parody show that's like the one... they've already got a really hilarious show, Space Force.
They made a show just called Space Force.
Yeah, I'm surprised that there's not been another one like that, where it's like the IT crowd, where Renholm's in charge, but that's kind of like an Elon Musk type character, and it's about the SpaceX stuff, but it's like the IT crowd.
Oh, man, that would piss him off.
I think it would be hilarious.
Now, this guy did get in front of it a little bit. Now, one man is paying for this trip, but he's also making a big donation to the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, and he's kind of crafting the whole trip as like benefiting the children.
Yeah.
Will that appease people, do you think?
I think so.
It'll help, I think. It's better than going up there and then when you get back saying, all my Amazon workers paid for this. It's like, oh, tone deaf.
So I guess the proceeds will also go to St. Jude's. So the 15th of September, him and two of his buddies.
I mean, this is an amazing troll, if nothing else. Writing my name on the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket will take me and my crewmates into space.
I'm surprised that image hasn't been photoshopped yet.
Now, if that blows up on the pad, do the St. Jude children still get their money? I hope so.
There should be an insurance policy for that. Like
that should go into escrow before they go up.
Yeah.
For sure. Drones are being used to search for things. Krista, that's a big forest rescue thing, isn't it?
What, using drones?
Like if you get lost hiking, they'll send the drones out for you these days.
Not really. Not in our area. No.
Because we don't have any.
I'm pretty sure I've seen stories about that. Didn't they pull
Not
somebody
here.
off of like Yellowstone with a drone or something, or find them?
I'll say maybe out west you can do that. Here we have so much tree cover, like it would be not particularly useful, I don't think.
There was that one where they found the dude with the drone and then they flew a helicopter in, and the dude with the helicopter is an incredible pilot because he's got the, if you get the helicopter too close to the rock face, the blades are going to go into the rock face, but the dude's incapacitated, and the helicopter dude is just the most incredible
Threads
pilot
that
ever.
needle.
Yeah.
You ever see the helicopters where they do this in a very fluid motion too. They swing over, dip into the lake, and then dump that on a fire.
Yeah.
That is skill.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I bet that's so much fun.
Well, minus I have to take care of this giant forest fire
Well,
part.
listen, you can have fun while doing your job, right?
I saw this story and I couldn't think about anything else, and I'll share it with you after the thing because it was very distracting.
Right. So I mentioned the drones because now it's not just in the forests and on land where the drones can find you.
With undersea robots, an Air Force navigator lost since 1967 is found. Recovery mission off Vietnam's coast showed how advances in technology have given new reach to the Pentagon's search for the American war dead. So they found the remains and they sent them home. Sorry, I didn't mean to bang the mic. They sent them home, and it's a feel-good story. It's really great. I really want to see Discovery or Netflix or somebody fund one of those like searching for treasures reality show groups that have a bunch of robots that are searching for like Spanish gold or something, lost gold from some country that's not going to like try to claw it back. in the open ocean. I think that would be an incredible TV show.
I think they all try to claw. Isn't it? The rule is they get most of it. Like if it's a Spanish galleon and they're like, nope, we're Spain, they get it.
Yeah, sometimes though the rule is that they have to give you the equivalent market value of whatever it was, but they can have the physical thing back for the cultural significance.
But, so you're talking about like the gold price, right?
Yeah.
Which is nothing compared to ancient Spanish galleon gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that there are a bunch of shipwrecks that people have been looking for decades, right?
Yeah.
What does it cost to have one of these guys running 24 hours a day?
I mean, if the spot robot's only $70,000 and you're a professional treasure hunter, it seems like, dropping $250,000 on a bunch of robots to look for gold would not be a big deal.
Although, if you lose signal,
yeah, you're screwed.
Well, you just put a fishing line on every single one of them so you can pull them back if it's that bad.
But then they're going to get all tangled up.
No, it's good. It's good software. That would be really lucrative too if you could pull that off.
What if you sent them down there with fishing line to search, and then as you pulled them up, there were just sharks hanging off of every line?
I accidentally made the most attractive to sharks robots ever.
We made a really
It's a short list, but ours is at the top.
We can now fish sharks with 100% accuracy, but it costs $70,000.
Call Spielberg. We're going to make Jaws 8.
But the success of Jaws was that the shark wasn't in it. And we now have a date that some people at the desk have been waiting for. And she says she tries.
I'll watch it. But
she tries to tell us that she's not hyped for it, but she's so hyped for it.
I'm cautiously optimistic. Amazon's Lord of the Rings series will premiere in September 2022.
Now this cracked me up because
I sent you this image earlier this week.
Not only that, but you were like, based on the trees, I believe it's going to be this time period.
Yeah, yeah.
So what about these trees telling you?
Okay, so scroll down and you have to show the audience if they're watching.
Is this
and they're
not the
just
picture?
Listening. This is the picture, yeah. So this just looks like a city on a hill, right? But the reason we know what city it is if you look in the background there, that lens flare is not the sun. Those are the two trees of Valinor. That's Tyrion on Tuna.
Oh.
We don't know who the character in the foreground is. Some people think it's Galadriel. We're not sure. Galadriel would have been alive during that time period, but this would be First Age, so that points to early episode probably being like a flashback sequence of the First Age, which we did not know that they had rights to. I can't wait to watch something I love be destroyed by Amazon.
Wait, are the rights, is it divided up by book, and
by
the book covers a certain time
Yes,
period?
and each book usually covers, so the First Age is Silmarillion, and then some of the Unfinished Tales also goes into that. And as far as we knew, they didn't have access to that. They did have some Unfinished Tales, which might explain why they can show this. But we'll see. I hope it's good. I don't know that it will be, but I hope it will be. I thought this image, it also feels very like CGI.
Well, I think there's going to have to be a lot of
I know,
those
but
there.
like the lighting feels unnatural and I can't decide if I like it or not. It is an unnatural way since we've never seen the light of the two trees. But anyway.
Well, Krista, that's a long time and a lot of variance in the future.
Yeah.
Although, how much do they have? Are they done filming now?
They're done filming season 1. I think they'll start season 2 soon.
But we will almost surely get season 1 next year, right?
Yes.
$500 million for this level of entertainment.
I hope it's good. Like I said, I have my doubts after seeing how every other show has been. Ryan recently got crushed by the
Masters of the Universe
Masters
show.
of the Universe. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe it'll be good. Hopefully it's good.
I was telling Krista, in order to reproduce my disappointment, in the first episode, they would kill Sauron and Gandalf.
Gandalf won't be in this series.
They'd bring him just to kill him.
He shows up. It's like, hey. And he's like, no, you got to sleep for 1,000 years. Sorry, buddy.
Gandalf's actually an angelic spirit. And he wasn't embodied at this point in time because it's Second Age.
We're changing that.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much they'll change. Because like the time period that they're making the show in is the Second Age. And the Second Age, it's mostly like short, disconnected short stories. So like they're going to have to jump around in the timeline. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully it's good. I don't know that it will be.
There's definitely a lot of room for good Star Trek stories in the Star Trek universe, but
it's never going to happen.
Never going to happen.
At this point, they could just remake the good stories. It's been long enough.
I could go for some modern Harvey Mudd.
Well, remote work continues to be a lot of our lives, and based on the headlines I'm seeing, it seems like we're going right back to the hardcore mode of working from home. And it seems like some people have adapted in different ways.
Stat of the day, 38% of remote workers work from bed. Yeah.
I would find that very difficult.
Yeah.
How do you mouse in bed?
Well, I guess if you're someone who does like email stuff, you could probably type in bed pretty easily, but like I'll send emails from bed, but I can't work from bed.
I could see, we need you on the conference call that I don't really need to be on.
No, you're going right to sleep.
Yeah.
Right to sleep. You got to paint your eyelids to be open eyes.
Yeah, I get the feeling sometimes like the whole let's have the video conferencing aspect turn on is just to make sure that people aren't working from bed.
Yeah, I guess. Or that they put on a shirt that day. I don't know why you care about that. This is just funny because of the headline, because if you know who this chick is,
The Hill reports the headline, Meghan McCain, CNN's Cuomo is ignoring brother's scandal is the worst kind of nepotism. So,
you see, because her dad.
Oh, right.
Right, yeah. That's how she got her job.
Isn't that how all of them get their jobs in politics? It's dynasties now.
Not only that, but she works in the media and he works in politics, just like the Cuomo brothers.
Oh, wow. That's especially ironic.
And she still didn't see that somehow. Interesting. I thought about Krista when I saw this. I have to say it's a bit of a disappointment when you read it.
Yeah.
But they do have dragons.
Indonesia says Jurassic Park project on track despite UNESCO warnings.
They're going to have dragons.
But like the little bearded dragons, right?
Komodo dragons.
Oh,
Well,
Komodo dragons are actually kind of like, I mean, they're not as dangerous as a raptor, but
Well, I don't know. We've never seen those fight.
their bite will like mess you up, I think.
A lot of bacteria in those mouths,
Yeah.
So we don't know exactly what this is going to be. The environmental groups have been saying, you cannot do this. Look at this place. Look at the beauty of it. Please don't destroy it. And they're like, yeah, we kind of want to make these dragon enclosures. Or maybe not. But what else would you do if you called it Jurassic Park?
Certainly not genetically engineer dinosaurs and release them, right?
I don't think they're capable of that. We'll see, I guess. Kind of a weird time to be building tourist attractions as well.
Yeah.
I guess that will take a long time to build, though, right? Or you think
We
take
spared
a
no
decade?
expense.
We spared no expense, but we had a little trouble with the workforce.
Well, yeah, my favorite is that they have one guy doing all their IT security. And it's like, that's not right.
There's one guy who polices the park, and he's missing so many fingers and toes at this point. But he loves his job, though. This headline, why? Why would you do this? It just seems
so mean.
wrong.
I read the headline, and then I read the article expecting an answer to the headline.
There's none.
There was no answer.
We didn't really gain much from this.
Genetically altered daddy long legs have short legs. And there's a picture of not one of the short leg ones. And the article goes on to explain how researchers have altered the DNA of this particular kind of spider. I guess it's a spider.
I bet it's in great pain, too, because I bet there's some sort of reason that their legs are that long.
Yeah, and they also never gave us a picture of the daddy short legs, which is ridiculous. Now, do you see these segments here?
Yeah.
These bins in it?
That's a joint.
So those are part of it. They managed to make one with just stick legs. Oh. And he couldn't really feed himself because you know how they wrap around stuff?
Yeah.
And then they made one that only had, you know how some animals have the feeder arms where they gobble up? And those aren't their locomotive arms. They made one with only feeder arms.
Mm.
Just genetic monstrosities.
Kill me.
Why?
This is necessary to get us to scent a cow.
Well, I do want to keep eating beef during the apocalypse.
Scent a cow is probably going to be the only way that we're going to be able to eat beef in another 50 years or so.
You got to start learning vegetarian recipes now so that you're ready for the huge spike in the cost of meat.
Although, if I recall the scent a cow legend correctly, it was far, far darker than veal.
Yeah.
So I think there might be some pushback on it.
Yeah.
You know what else there was a lot of pushback on? quote unquote huge mistake. That's an understatement, isn't it?
It is.
Bill Gates says meetings with Jeffrey Epstein were quote unquote a huge mistake. He said, I only met with him because he had access to other billionaires and I was trying to raise money for my philanthropic foundation. A likely story.
But his philanthropic foundation already has a lot of money.
Who wanted more?
That seems to be the story of his life, doesn't it?
How many meetings do you have to have with someone before it's like, hey, can you just give me their phone number?
I think it was 4 or 6.
Yeah. He's like, our relationship ended when I realized that I wasn't going to get any more, money for our philanthropic foundations.
Well, and that kind of makes him an asshole, don't you think? Maybe Epstein was just reaching out for a friend.
Friends in high places.
Or low places.
Or low places.
That's a song. This one is just really disturbing, and I think this showcases we have this global community with social media, but where you live
Matters.
might not be very conducive to the global community.
A Turkish influencer has been prosecuted for photos at an Amsterdam sex museum, according to the BBC.com. And they have a few, because the BBC does. Oh, no, I mean from the museum. And the Turkish authorities are like, nope, this is lewd. Get out.
So she purchased a couple of items, and they weren't even that crazy. I think it was just like some snacks, maybe shaped like something risque.
Yeah, it's like,
Who hasn't done that at a bachelorette?
Look at this funny thing that I found online and or in this museum.
That's not much of a museum, is it?
No.
Well, I guess they can't really advertise well, I guess it's Amsterdam, though. I don't know.
Also, there's no space.
Yeah, I don't like that.
You have to always say sex museum.
It's one word.
That sounds very German.
And she's been arrested twice since then.
Yeah.
And I think she cooperates. Like, they arrest her, and she's like, "I'm sorry, it was a joke. I threw it away. I won't ever do it again." And then they're like, "Okay, we'll arrest you later." Again.
Maybe get some asylum and live somewhere else. I don't know.
Could be tough.
Say, she has family there and she doesn't want to leave.
She could probably find herself a green card husband pretty easily. She's quite the looker. Maybe we should explore that. Or maybe just don't tweet.
Things that can get you in trouble. Yeah. But, I mean...
Listen, I curb my speech every single day because I know I have to fit in the world.
That's true.
It might not be perfect, but everybody does it. You have to do it. That's just the world we live in.
That's true.
Woo! I found this one hilarious. I might be alone here, but I think the answer to this question is field hockey is probably one of the most boring things in the universe, right?
The Olympic cameraman has stopped filming field hockey to focus on a cockroach in the game's final minutes, baffling fans.
Oh, there he is.
So the cameraman saw something moving, and it was like, what is that? It's like, oh, it's a cockroach. And it was, we think, because the cameraman was just bored out of his mind.
Field hockey. Women's field hockey. And I'm not trying to judge women here, but I imagine
a lot of the women's competitors have been good this year.
Oh, I exclusively watch women's Olympic sports.
I watched the female archery competition.
Here's a crazy thing, and I imagine like the individual weights of the implements and stuff. I'm sure somebody could explain it to me. The hammer throw girls look like me. The discus girls look like they're carved from granite. They're perfect physically. So how's there so much disconnect between such similar events? You spin around and throw a thing.
Maybe the hammer's a lot heavier than the disc.
I was thinking maybe the counterweight to the hammer matters a lot. Like, the more you weigh, the more torque you can put on it. That's the only thing I could think of. But it's amazing how perfect that delineation is between those two groups of athletes. Maybe there's weight classes, too. I'm not real sure about a lot of the Olympic stuff.
And you know what? The announcers aren't either.
No.
I watched a synchronized swimming event, and it was clear the announcers knew nothing about the sport. And I was like, well, this is kind of disappointing.
I've also
hired them off Craigslist.
Yeah.
I've also seen several of those NBC clips on YouTube where there are no announcers.
Oh, yeah.
That'd almost be preferable than them just talking over performance.
Next year or the year after, we're probably going to have AI announcers.
That could be interesting. This is just I mean, it's such a great picture.
It is a good photo.
What an amazing picture. And when you see it, you think, why would it do that? And the answer is also great.
Goose flying upside down is simply showing off, say experts. If you're on the audio version of this on Patreon, I'm so sorry. Because you've got to see the picture. The goose literally is flying upside down, and it just doesn't care.
But they can turn their head 180 degrees. What a cool superpower.
The article talks about how this geese will sometimes do this if they're like diving really quickly and they don't want to put a lot of effort into it, or gliding, or the wind is blowing a certain way. So this is not atypical goose behavior. But the photographer said nobody will ever believe this is real. They're going to think I shopped this.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I do believe it, but what a great picture. I would definitely, if I took that picture, I would definitely have that printed and put in my home. What a great talking point. Krista, how many hammocking adventures have you had in 2021?
Not many. I'm hoping it gets a little cooler soon, because I did one like last month and it was very hot.
I'm going to go ahead and say that you are not extreme enough to do real hammocking like these people.
No, this is dangerous.
This is people who really care about hammocking deeply.
Extremely risky. Weber County sees increase in people hammocking on power lines. Pro tip, don't do this.
If you can see this, it's like one of those triple tower, like
It's a big one, yeah.
high tension wires, and somebody's hammocking between the first and second tiers.
And it's on the side of a hill. I don't think there was a road to get to this thing.
I mean, if you didn't want to be bothered by anybody while you're hammocking, this seems like a great way to just...
So many public lands.
But here's the thing. There are 2 arrows pointing to 2 different people on this. Do you think they were together and this person was like, this is a good spot for a hammock, and the other was like, no.
I have to go higher.
We have to get to the top.
Yeah.
Other pro tip when hammocking, always check your trees before you hang to make sure there aren't any widowmakers above you and that your trees are still alive. And don't hang on a power line.
How do you check a power line for widows?
You don't. You just don't hang on them. Pro tip.
That guy's so high that I doubt seriously that insects or anything would bother him up there.
I guess.
They also say don't hang higher than you're willing to fall.
I'll roll over. Ah!
Yeah. I've only fallen out of my hammock once, and it was my fault.
How high were you?
Not very high. Like maybe 12 inches.
Like 2-3 bong hits, or what are we talking about? Edibles?
It was on my porch, and I had I went to unzip it, and I didn't realize I had unzipped the back. And so I went to sit down and lean back, and I just rolled right out of it. First time, though, in many years of hammocking.
What part of your body did you fall on? Did you fall on your butt?
On my butt. I had a bruise for a couple of days. It wasn't great. But it didn't hurt terribly as if I had been hanging very high like this. Don't do this.
I'm looking forward to sampling my next orange soda. So much.
Which one are you doing next?
I don't know. I might try the Zevia cream soda next.
Are you going to do that on stream?
Maybe, yeah.
You're kind of burning through them. I think you're lavishly. 3 in one week?
There's so many varieties. We got so many packages of orange soda.
Yeah, you think that now. But someday, people are going to get tired of this.
Someday in about 2 years, I'm going to think back and it's like, what was the one that I had that was so delicious?
Yeah.
I can't remember it. I'm going to be watching old episodes of this trying to figure it out.
But I think we have kind of ruined Diet Crush.
A little, yeah.
Yeah, Diet. I had one because Sausage Toast sent one, and it was as good as I remember, which is it's thirst quenching because it's mostly water. It's water with just a little tiny bit of orange flavoring.
And aspartame.
And aspartame, and it's not super carbonated. I can definitely taste the aspartame, at least I think I do. And so it's a good thirst quencher because it's mostly water, but it doesn't have that, I don't know if it's the mineral aftertaste. I mean, it's not bad. Nestle water is not bad. It's better than tap water. But Orange Crush is
everything.
Is like a, it's a good flavor.
Are you trying to make Sausage Toast feel better for him going to all that work?
No.
And no longer the number one orange soda?
That was probably the first Diet Orange Crush that I had in over a year.
Wow.
Yeah, it has been a crazy amount of time. Some products are just not there anymore. What would you say? All right, so we've seen a lot of orange sodas coming through here. If cost and availability and everything else were all the same, not nutrition you have to factor into it, what would be the new go-to?
I would have to think about that.
You're on the spot.
Probably it wasn't. It was one of the. It was like one of the hipster energy drinks that was in a can like this. But it was. I think it was the blood orange one.
Oh, you're talking about the San Pellegrino.
No, it wasn't the San Pellegrino. Somebody sent a case of those, every flavor they have. So we'll have that next week.
Well, they definitely had a blood orange, so it was a different blood orange.
Yeah, it was like one of the Energy Plus or something versions of this that was blood orange because it was.
Oh, I think that was a Winthrop one, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah, I think I remember
so.
which one you're talking about.
I'd probably go for that one because it's a good thirst quencher. It's not over the top with the flavor. Probably that one.
Somewhat disappointing that we're recommending it, but we don't know the name of it.
Well, we'll have it next week. There's
Yeah.
an extra one in the fridge.
Or check out our Twitch stream at twitch.tv/teampgp.
Or prepare your own shipment of drinks for possibly doing a bracket. Choosing a champion.
Maybe we do that on the Drunk News for Christmas.
All at once?
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking this has to happen over. Like, we'll have one matchup either per news show or per week.
Oh, and in case anybody's wondering, what is that? Those are flappers and springs from a Model M keyboard. Don't worry about it.
Meaning, I desperately want you to worry about it.
Think about it.
Or otherwise I wouldn't have mentioned it.
I guarantee you somebody will have said something before I left that.
Y'all
That's
remember
fine.
the screws?
Got these two.
Oh, yeah, the keycaps. Yeah. Woo!
All right, we'll see you guys next week.